Hey now, 580 Sports Talk going up on a Tuesday. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, all here with you. Welcome to the show. We've got a bunch to get to today as we continue previewing Super Bowl 58, Chiefs versus 49ers. In fact, we've got a full first hour of Super Bowl coverage coming your way here on 580 Sports Talk. We're talking about the Chiefs' offense, what they're going to do, what we think they should do against the 49er defense. We're going to hear from Travis Kelce. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes. We're going to hear from Andy Reid. All of that is coming up right here in this first hour of 580 Sports Talk today. We'll also, of course, get to last night's Sunflower Showdown. I am of the belief, and Dan, maybe you have a good perspective on this, having been at the game last night. I am of the belief that, and we've got some audio technical difficulties here. I think those are all sorted out now. But whoever ended up losing that game yesterday was going to end up being really upset about how that game unfolded.
Because KU fans are upset about the way KU played down the stretch and why KU is losing. I think if K-State had lost, you would have heard a lot of groaning about why the hell can we not just move on to the ball. So I am of the belief that the losing team, one way or the other, was going to lose. I think I was right. We're going to talk about that coming up in 3 o'clock hour today. I can tell you this. My perception of the game is learning things about last night. I think Flyers were K-State, though, it was a no, I'm 100% agree with you on all these points. We'll touch on that in the 3 o'clock hour. Mike explains to you what coming up in the 4 o'clock hour as well for Jayhawk.
Garrett's hotline. We will also be
joined today by North Foote. I'm talking for team football. That is coming up in the 3 o'clock hour today. Get the editor for Arrowhead report. We'll talk all about this Super Bowl matchup. We've also got our private sports talk headlines. What is wrong with you? We are done early today. We're off at about 5:30-ish because we've got our Witt Tuesday night hoops coming up tonight. Yes, that's good. We have high school basketball tonight. It is rematch on
I will be there with Coach Larry Latimer, and we'll have ourselves a funky good time at the Georgia Dome, as we always do.
pumped for that coming up tonight as soon as we are done here on 5.
We'd love for you to be involved in the show today. Hit us up on the text line 785-872-9429, or you can join us as well on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can find us. And if you are watching on YouTube today, you are going to notice brand new cameras in the studio. We've got the whole crew, brand new cameras. You're going to get to see a more in-depth, detailed look of where we bring you 580 Sports Talk from every single day. Spencer's camera up above. You can see him on the board. Dan and I in the studio. You can see everything around us. We're going to tip out these rooms.
I've already started, if you've noticed. Have you noticed?
Is that a cap jersey behind you?
Yes, so it is a rally towel jersey.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, Spencer is already getting the control room worked on. So looking forward to bringing you the brand new video edition of the 580 Sports Talk on our YouTube feed. That's cool. We got a lot more space. You don't just see all the pores and my facial hair now. You can actually see stuff around. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am super excited that my coach
Front and center on the video, you can see, it's a little more zoomed out, which probably, zooming out on me flatters me for sure. The further away that my face is from the camera, the better I look. So I'm happy for this change, and we're really excited to be here.
So let us know what you think if you're watching the YouTube today, unless you don't like it, in which case don't say anything. Just keep that to yourself. You don't have something nice to say, don't say nothing at all, as the old saying goes. Let's get into it with Super Bowl 58 and the Kansas City Chiefs today.
I think the same issue happened when I first signed in.
Earlier today, who does a lot of the film breakdowns for The Athletic. He does an awesome job with it. and he wrote a piece that's just inside 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl matchup, what to watch for when Kansas City. There's a couple of things in particular that stood out to me about what Ted Wynn wrote here. One of them is that I think Dan was right on with something that he said a little bit earlier in the week. I guess it was yesterday when this came up, when we were talking about underrated or under the radar players. And that is the horizontal running game for Kansas City and trying to get the ball out to the edges. And it's something that San Francisco has surprisingly struggled with a lot over the course of the season. And especially as we've gotten into the playoffs, we've talked about how the 49ers defense this year, while it still has some elite talent, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, both of whom we'll touch on in a little bit. Charvarius Ward has had a great season. Drake Greenlaw's a really good player. They've got good talent. They added Javon Hargrave, still have Eric Armstead, all these different guys, right? They've really not been all that great against the run, and they've been straight up bad against the run in the postseason so far. So while, as we always add, the caveat, we're not saying the Chiefs are suddenly going to become a pound the rock, establish the run kind of team, but there should be opportunities in this game to move the ball in chunks against this 49ers run defense, and a lot of it is going to be done outside the tackles, trying to get to the edge. Pacheco is obviously at his best, but he is getting downhill as quickly as possible. But there are going to be some outside opportunities for the Chiefs into this contest. And since you only have 3 guys that you need to get on the field all the time, right? And offensive lineman, duh, Mahomes, duh. But Kelce, Rice, Pacheco, the triangle, that trio, that is who pretty much have to be on the field because they are your best playmakers. But since you've got a lot of flexibility with those other 2 spots, it makes me wonder, maybe this is the kind of game similar to last season when these 2 teams played and the Chiefs just blew out the 49ers. They crushed them in that game, which I believe was in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, Santa Clara. Maybe you go heavy personnel here. Maybe there are fewer snaps in this game for MVS, Justin Watson, whoever else. And you go with more 2 tight end sets. Maybe you go with 3 tight end sets a little bit. And you don't have to run out of all of that. You don't have to. We might not see. I think it would make sense for Pacheco to get near 20 rushes in this game because that's been a real sweet spot number for him over the last month and a half or so. But you can still pass out of those. We've seen Noah Gray be more involved in the passing game since the end of the regular season than he had been the entire previous part of the regular season.
I think he's got the 3rd most targets behind Rice and Kelce in the postseason for the Chiefs. If he's not 3rd, he's 4th.
Mm-hmm.
He has, obviously, it's not a high volume because the volume is going to Kelce and Rice, but if it's not those 2, it has been more often than just about anybody else. It's been Noah Gray who's been getting looks in the passing game.
So maybe this is an opportunity to get him on the field a little bit more. And again, maybe you get Bell out there a little bit more. You go 2 running backs a little bit more often. These heavier formations that, again, you can run out of. And I think, again, compared to how porous this 49er defense has been this postseason, you should be able to run with some success. But at the very least, they're thinking about it all the time. Because if you're coming out, you've got Kelce tight left, you've got Gray and Bell stacked on the right, Rashee Rice to split out, and you've got Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield. That looks like a running formation. But you know what pretty much everybody on the field can do, along with run the ball and block for it? They can catch the ball. They can run routes out of any of those positions. I think that could open up a whole lot of opportunities for this Chiefs offense. So I saw this from Ted Wynn, and I thought, well, dang, maybe we're looking at this offense a little bit differently. And, if we can tell, and if journalists can tell, the Chiefs can obviously tell that those matchups are out there. So I wonder if this is an opportunity to still use these West Coast and spread and air raid concepts that make up the Chiefs offense, but to bring them out of different looks with different personnel.
So I think the biggest reason that the Chiefs can have success on the ground is the same reason that the Packers and the Lions were able to be successful running the ball against the 49ers. It's not because the personnel for the 49ers, it's not because they don't have good players. They do have good players. Nick Bosa is a great player. Eric Armstead's had a great career. Javon Hargrave maybe hasn't produced at the level they hoped when they signed him, but that's still a really good player at defensive tackle. Even Chase Young, who hasn't really popped on film in a positive way throughout these playoffs and maybe has some effort issues. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there.
No, I would agree. I think the whole internet agrees.
So, but still, like a good athlete, talented athlete. the reason the 49ers have been so susceptible, the reason that their defensive success rate against the run is 49% in the playoffs. So more than half the time, teams are having a successful play on the ground against the 49ers. It's the scheme. It's what the 49ers do. They attack. It's called a single gap attacking defense, as Ted Wynn lays out in this article, and they just come up field. They're trying to come up field fast, get into the backfield, create negative plays, or get after the quarterback. The way you beat that is you get out to the perimeter, because what's it really hard for a 260, 300-pound guy to do? Change direction in a hurry, and then try and get back in the other direction and chase a ball carrier who's already got a head start and is faster than they are anyway. So when you combine the susceptibility that the 49ers have had to misdirections, toss plays, trap plays, to the success that the Chiefs have had running those plays, and as you mentioned, in heavier personnel, the enhanced success that they've had running those plays in the postseason, I think the opportunities are going to be there for the Chiefs to hit for a lot of big plays on. Now, big is relative on the ground. We're not talking about they're not going to hit like 30-yard runs. If they're doing that, if the Chiefs run for 300 yards on Sunday, I bet they win. Like I feel like
probably.
I feel like they would win if they do that, if they put up like Air Force rushing numbers. But like being able to move the ball in solid chunks on the ground, I think the Chiefs are going to be able to do that against this 49er defense, because I think they match up well with what the 49ers do. They have an understanding and an ability to exploit what the 49ers do in their defensive front.
I think this is one of the most fascinating matchups in this game, is the Chiefs offense and just what sort of strategy they have behind the play sequencing. More than even play calling, I think play sequencing is something that is really important that doesn't get talked about enough. Trying to chain 2 plays, 3 plays, 4 plays, full drives together, and how the Chiefs use their personnel to take advantage of some of the things that are lacking or are just, built-in scheme faults with this 49ers defense. The other thing that came up that I thought was interesting in this piece over at The Athletic, and definitely recommend go checking it out. It is long. They've got a bunch of film clips in there. Again, 10 Win does an incredible job for The Athletic. Last time these two teams played, the Chiefs' offensive game plan was to eliminate the impact of Nick Bosa on the edge, to neutralize Nick Bosa as much as possible. And he made a couple of plays, but for the vast majority of the game, he was held in check. Now, as we've pointed out, the offensive line, the tackle play this year for the Chiefs, a bit behind where it was last season. Juwan Taylor's still a good player. Donovan Smith is fine. It's not a bad unit, bad group by any means, but it's not exactly elite play. Is Nick Bosa still the guy? If you are going to say the best way to beat this San Francisco team is to take out one of their best players, to make them ineffective or ineffectual as much as we can, is Nick Bosa still the guy you've got to eliminate to that degree?
I think he is. He's the best pass rusher they've got by some distance. So if you're just talking about impact in the pass rush, if Nick Bosa doesn't have a game-wrecking performance off the edge, I think that means Patrick Mahomes has a lot of time to throw, and the Chiefs have a lot of opportunity to have some developing pass plays and maybe hit for some explosives down the field. Bosa's still that guy. He's still the one you want to neutralize. And the reason you know that is because when these two teams played last, that was the idea, to take Bosa out of the equation. And you do it kind of by wearing him out a little bit. I think it was Matt Derrick we talked to about this on Friday's edition of the show. You talk about wanting to wear Bosa out by just bringing the action to him, running the ball at him, running play action in his direction, chipping him every time there's a pass play that's going to take some time to develop. All of those things can wear a guy down over the course of 60 minutes. That's what we saw the Chiefs do in Super Bowl 54. It took time for that to pay off, but in the fourth quarter, that was a pass rush that was distinctly out of steam towards the end of the game. Mm-hmm. And Bosa was a big part of that. He was a lot less effective down the stretch in that game, and that gave the Chiefs an opportunity to come back and ultimately win that Super Bowl. So I still think he's the guy, because with respect to, they have good players in secondary. Like I think Charvarius Ward's had a fabulous year, and he's going to have some motivation because he's a former Chief. He's a guy who his one-on-one matchup, whoever it ends up being, if he's in man coverage, is going to be fascinating to track. And in Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, I think they have the best pair of linebackers in the league. But those are just like sideline to sideline playmakers. I don't think those are going to be the guys who make the big plays, the field flipping plays, or the plays to put you off schedule as an offense. The guy who has the best chance to do that is Bosa, just because of where he lines up and his ability as a pass rusher, his ability to get into the backfield. So now I think if you're the Chiefs, you wear him out, you move away from him, you try and draw him upfield and then make him go back and chase on a trap play or a toss play and really get him, hands on knees by the time the fourth quarter rolls around.
See the guy.
I would definitely agree with you. I mean, I think their defense runs through Bosa, and if not Bosa, it's Fred Warner. We'll see how much Bosa is a crybaby this weekend, because he was yesterday about the 40, or last week about the 40, or about the Chiefs offensive tackles holding.
I saw just a little bit ago, in fact, a lot of talk already that the excuses are starting. They're already out there. You've heard, oh, the turf isn't good where we're practicing. Oh, the Chiefs hold all the time. Yada. It's already out there trying to poison the well a little bit. I think the thing about Fred Warner, and this is a credit to him, and it's what makes what he does so important, is while linebacker has largely been devalued in the NFL in recent years, having a guy who is so uniquely good at what he does and has such a very diverse skill set, you can't really eliminate him from a game anyway, because he is able to cover. I mean, he can carry guys up the field. He can play middle of the field. You can bring him in as a blitzer. You can bring him off the edge as a run stopper. I mean, he can do pretty much everything. That's why he has the title right now, I'm pretty sure unanimously across the league, as the best linebacker in the NFL. So you cannot really eliminate him, but he also plays a spot that I think it's the hardest to just take someone out, because there's so many different variables that play into getting to that second level. I mean, Bosa is certainly the guy here, because I think the way the Chiefs are built offensively, and frankly, based on the first point we brought up about how I think the Chiefs can find a lot of success in this game, that just naturally, I think, is going to neutralize the secondary a little bit. Like Charvarius Ward, awesome year. Awesome season. He's been really good downfield coverage this year. You know the way to mitigate that, though? You throw short passes and you run the ball a lot, and then you take play action shots deep, and you try to get him one-on-one on an island. That is the sort of thing you can do. He's still probably going to make plays because he's a good player and he's had a really good season. Although if he really has gone out and partied in Vegas for a few nights already, maybe he's not at full strength. I don't know.
What a weird thing to say. Maybe that's how players are getting down, but
I guess
it's a weird thing to say out loud that I got to go hit it hard for the first couple of days, but then it's business. Then it's all about, why isn't it just all about business? I'm sure Kyle Shanahan heard that, was like, come on, man.
People think Kyle Shanahan was drunk last night at media night, or at opening night, whatever they call it. Did you see that? Have you seen the video of him talking to Michael Robinson from NFL Network?
I have not, no.
Every reply, every quote tweet of it is like, whoa, he is sauced tonight. Someone just mentioned right now, wow, he is toasted. Yeah, people think he was hammered last night. I think Kyle Shanahan is just weird. Yeah. I think he's just a very awkward guy. I don't know that he was drunk, but I don't know. It feels weird. We're going to ask Jordan about this coming up later on in the show. But it sort of feels like these teams are handling their business differently, right?
Yes.
And one way is not necessarily worse than the other. Maybe the Chiefs, maybe you could spin this. The Chiefs are too uptight. The 49ers are loose and having fun. They've got the right mindset. You can probably spin this any number of ways. But very similarly, and it's weird because the 49ers have been here before, and a lot of these players have been here before just 5 years ago.
And certainly the coaching staff has.
Coaching staff.
The head coach has.
But it sort of feels a little bit like last week or 2 weeks ago, right? It feels a little been here versus haven't been here before.
Yes, the differences, at least to this point in the week, are pretty stark.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how much that means. I don't know if it means anything. But it might mean something. I don't think it doesn't. I don't think it's not noteworthy that the 49ers have been making headlines for, comments about the game that happened 5 years ago. The owner is talking about holding calls that should have happened 5 years ago, and the practice facilities not to our liking, and Charvarius Ward's talking about, yeah, we're going to go party and have fun, and then it will be all business. And the Chiefs are very much head down, not giving, like, they're never big on giving the other team bulletin board material as is. They've always been a team, and I've respected this about them through the duration of this run. They're not going to give you bulletin board material if you're the other team. But no, very much head down, all about business. They have a routine. This is the fourth time they've done this in 5 years. They have a routine. They know what works.
Yeah,
they know what they have to do to get prepared for a game like this.
Mahomes said something last night during the media night, whatever you want to call it, which obviously we have his presser from today, not that. I just want to point it out. He said, this team has the players to win it all. We know that. We just have to go out and do it.
It's reminiscent of when North Dakota State was winning all those championships at FCS football. Like, they had travel plan. People in Fargo had like annual travel plans to go to Frisco, Texas. Like, that's just what you do. And for the Chiefs, that's how they've handled it. And we're going to hear, in fact, from Patrick Mahomes coming up on the other side of this timeout. We'll also hear from Travis Kelce. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up this hour. It is a Chiefs-filled first hour of 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. Just getting started on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzynski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, all here with you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And again, if you are watching us on the YouTube feed today, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, see the brand new camera setup we've got in studio. No longer right in the face of all three of us, but we've got the full studio view now. So thanks for checking out the new cameras if you're watching on YouTube. And if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, well, now's the perfect time. Just go to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. That is the best way to see all of our new video fun stuff that we've got going on here on the YouTube stream.
And not a...
Hold on, I got Vance in the comments said, what is this disturbing trend of not wearing hats lately?
I've been out and about, Vance. I've been trying to look like a professional. They don't like when I wear hats.
I would say wearing hats with this setup, you have to wear them backwards, like Brennan is doing. I don't think he could wear it forward.
I think I could do it forward.
I don't think I could because my angle is such a weird angle.
Yeah, you've got like a more of a top-down angle. So yeah, if you're gonna wear a hat, you might got to go backwards, or you can go.
Yeah.
You know,
I wear a hat backwards.
The toque, the ski cap,
the paper boy hat. One of those on. I wear my hat backwards probably like a good 80% of the time. Yeah, get the Kangol hat out.
Mine's backwards most of the time anyway. Sometimes I go forward, but I go backwards with mine most of the time anyway. So yeah, we would love to know if you check out the new camera angles. Robert on YouTube, he says he's a big fan of the new angles. So thank you, Robert, for checking it out, hanging out with us today on the YouTube feed. As I told you right before the break, we've got a lot of Chiefs players and coaches to get to today. So why don't we dive right on in? Here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say from Las Vegas earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, I think just simplifying, playing fast, letting guys go out there and just execute at their strengths was something that we always try to do, but I think we just really focused on that and letting guys play fast, not think, and that's helped us out a ton as this year's went on.
Patrick, I wanted to ask you about your side hustle, acting in commercials. How has your comfort level changed over the years?
Definitely a lot more comfortable with it. You understand the process of it, how the cameras have to be set, everything like that, and I'm not going to say I'm like top tier yet, but I've done better, I think, as the more years have gotten those commercials in. And so I'll continue to do them, especially with State Farm and stuff like that. And I'll try to keep head and shoulders as long as they let me keep it if I cut my hair. So we'll see if we can keep going. Yeah, I mean, Travis is built for those moments, man. He does a great job. I mean, obviously he hosts an SNL, and then being able to shoot the commercials. It's always fun when you get a guy that you can kind of freelance or kind of freestyle with a little bit and kind of do your own thing and just show your real personality. And definitely good to have him and Coach Reid and all those guys. Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, you want to always stand behind what you believe in and what your beliefs are, and hopefully those are the right values and the right way. But you want to also have your personal life and keep things to yourself. You just find that right spot to use your platform in the right way that you believe can help not only yourself but the world and that we live in. Just kind of football in general. I mean, sometimes you kind of get in a funk and you're not kind of able to get out of it. I thought in the second half in the AFC Championship game, obviously we were playing a really good defense, all-time defense, and they were executing at a high enough level. We just didn't execute. If you look at the film, a few mistakes here and there by kind of everybody, and that's stuff that will, when you're playing a defense like that, will stall out drives, and we're playing a defense like that this week as well. And so we had to execute at a higher level in the second half of football games, and I believe when we're executing, we can score the football.
A guy like the Sheik, this commercial young player. Have you seen him around the guys that step up the way
he's done a great job, man. I mean, it's hard in this offense to learn everything that Coach Reid wants you to do, all the different kind of routes, how we run them versus man versus zone, all that different type of stuff. And he's done a good job of just learning from his mistakes and not making the same mistake twice and getting better and better. And that's why his role has gotten bigger and bigger as the season was on.
Real quick, Pat, I've been asking a lot of guys in the Chiefs, get a tattoo on your face, anywhere on their body for a guaranteed Super Bowl win. Some guys said yes, some said no. Shouldn't the answer be 100% yes?
100% yes. I'm doing whatever it takes for the Super Bowl win for sure.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
What about the guys that say like they shouldn't get it?
Yeah, I mean, it's humbling because I never thought I would be in this many Super Bowl games, honestly. I mean, you strive to be great, but you understand how hard it is to even be in this game. And for us to be in my fourth one and my 6 years of starting, it truly is remarkable. And I don't take it for granted because you never know if you're going to be able to be back in this game. Yeah, I think you got to first of all take care of the football. They're very opportunistic. They get turnovers. They fly over to the football. They play hard, and then we have to match their intensity. I mean, they're a really good team. Offense, defense, special teams, they do it all, and so we have to match that intensity through and through in order to win the football game. Oh yeah, definitely heard about Bobby Witt's contract, man. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's going to be in Kansas City for the long run, man. Just knowing the guy and how hard he works. It's going to do tremendous things for that organization. because when you have a leader like that's young and really is inspired to make this team great, that's what you want in your league.
You guys have like a relationship, you guys text or anything like that?
Yeah, we talk to each other a little bit here and there, just through text and stuff like that. Obviously, I see him sometimes in Dallas. But luckily for me, we're in the Super Bowl, so I won't probably see him this offseason. He'll probably be already headed back by the time I get there. But he's the right type of guy that you want leading an organization. I think everybody knows that knows him. And he wants to do it in Kansas City, which I always think is special because Kansas City is a special place, and they get behind their teams. And you want the Royals to be in that World Series combo again.
So that's Patrick Mahomes speaking just a little bit earlier on this afternoon as the Chiefs get ready for Super Bowl 58. He's not the only player who spoke. In fact, a whole bunch of players spoke today. Let's hear from tight end number 1, the superstar himself. Here is Travis Kelce.
It broke everybody's heart in Chiefs Kingdom when Norma passed, and we were fortunate enough to go and get the Lamar Hunt Trophy for her. And for this being the first Super Bowl she hasn't been to bring this one home for the Hunt family would mean the world. And such a powerful woman in sports, and definitely one to remember for sure.
A lot of the success that you and Patrick have had has been chemistry, instincts, feel, all that part of your game. Is there anything tangible that you can maybe bottle up to teach others, to kind of improve their games and chemistry, Patrick?
I would say just find a love for the game, man. Find a love for the grind and getting better, and finding love in accepting the challenges that come with that. I think this year more than any year, I think we've been challenged on putting points up on the board, and that never. The mentality in the building never changed, and that's where you see the growth and the incline of just keep getting better and better. Is that no matter what the challenge is in front of us, we're willing to accept that challenge and attack it head on. And I feel like when you just have a love for the game and you have that love and that want to gain knowledge for it, everything just kind of it takes off from there.
Thank you. How has it been for you in the playoff run? It hasn't been the easiest of goals for you to get to the Super Bowl compared to those who've been in the past. You got a couple games. You said you wanted this Super Bowl more than anyone who has passed. How's the mentality shifted for you in this challenge?
I just love this team, man. I love coming into work every single day with these guys, men and women, and it's just been an amazing. It's been an amazing journey up to this point. And when you go through some ups and downs with people, and you make it through the other side, it's a beautiful thing, man, and you just want it that much more for the person next to you, knowing how much work they put in, and it's just this year's has been its own journey and had its own challenges, but I think it's really molded us into one of the best football teams I've ever been on. Yeah.
That attention, is that giving them energy? Does it drain energy?
Everybody's subject to their own opinion on everything, but I feel like it's only giving me energy, man. I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am in life and to have the amazing things going for me. And you know what? I'd be silly to find any negativity in what's going on in my life.
For the emotions and anxiety or whatever the jitters might be in this game, are they different than the run-up with the playoff games? Do they all feel the same?
Ain't no jitters for me, baby. I'm excited for this one, man. I'm excited for the challenge. I know it's going to be our biggest challenge yet, and there's no doubt seeping in. We got a great football team, and we're going up against a great football team. It's going to be one for the ages. I'm just excited for it, man.
So that is a snippet of what we heard from Travis Kelce earlier this afternoon as well. He also had a cool quote. We're a little short on time, so we can't get to it, but a real cool quote about how he said probably the coolest thing he will ever do is play against Jason Kelce in the Super Bowl. Said that when he was growing up, the dream was always, well, we would go win it together, but the closest they were going to get was playing against each other in the Super Bowl. But some really cool stuff there from Travis Kelce. We're going to get to a quick timeout, but when we come back, we'll hear from Big Red Andy Reid. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, Dan, and Spencer with you on 580 Sports Talk. 5 days from Super Bowl 58, which you can, of course, hear right here, the Westwood One broadcast with Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner on 580 WIBW coming up on Sunday. We're going to have day-long pregame coverage, by the way. It'll be Westwood One pregame coverage. Then at 3 in the afternoon, we've got Mitch Holthus. We're going to hear the Chiefs pregame for an hour, and then we'll come back at 4 o'clock, and then we've got Westwood One through the end of the day.
That's a good consolation prize for not being able to hear Mitch during the game.
Right. So we'll get a little sprinkle of Mitch during the day.
Do we get the post game from them too?
That is still to be determined.
Okay. That may be contingent on the game results.
We're in the lab with that one. We can tell you that topic has indeed come up. And of course, we'll be talking all about the Super Bowl coming up on Thursday when we are live from Prairie Band Sportsbook at Prairie Band Casino, 20 minutes north of the capital city, up 75 Highway off of 150th Road in Mayetta. We will be up there. Can't wait for that. We'll be putting bets on the Super Bowl, talking all things Super Bowl 58. We'll, of course, have CJ Moore. Rick Peterson is going to join us. A whole busy day coming up on Thursday from Prairie Band Sportsbook on 580 Sports Talk. Really looking forward to that. Also looking forward to hearing from Big Red, Andy Reid, and what he had to say a little bit earlier on this afternoon. So without further ado, here is the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid.
Good to see everybody. Look forward to the challenge of playing the 49ers, heck of a football team. These teams, the last two teams standing here, we're honored to be one of them. So with that, time's yours here.
Hey, Coach, over to your right.
Yep.
You've been around pro football for so long. The business of the game just continues to grow, the hoopla around it. What have you made, and what would you think back from your early days of coaching of what the NFL was then and the behemoth that it's become now?
Yeah, it's great for the league, for the players, coaches, for you guys. Everybody profits from it. From a monetary standpoint, it's fun to watch the growth of the game, the different changes that have taken place there. Grateful for the foundation that the guys before us laid for us, and it's different. I mean, it's definitely different. When I got into it, there weren't cell phones, and now look at us, right? So the technology, not only with you folks, but also within the game, has been increased, and it allows you to be even more detailed as a coach, which presents you and the fans better offenses and defense, a little bit more out of the box, sophisticated type offenses and defenses. So it's unlimited that way, and it'll continue. It's going to keep growing. The longer we're in this, it's become not just a game in America, but a game throughout the world now. So tribute to Roger Goodell and all his efforts that he's put forward to make this a progressive, this game progressive and international.
Coach Reid, over here to your left, Evan Walker with WXCI. Coach, the 49ers are one of the few teams to regularly employ a fullback in their offense. You've been around this game for a long time. Why do you think we've seen a decline in teams regularly employing fullbacks, and what are some of the unique challenges that presents?
Yeah, so this is actually the first year that we haven't, since I've coached, that I haven't had a fullback. And I just had a tight end that could kind of fill that role, and that's what people are doing now. So things are so spread out that people have gone away from the traditional fullback, although they do a great job with it, and they're the number one offense. So they're doing something right with him. He's a heck of a player. But what you see with him is he can play the tight end position. He can play wide receiver position. They move him all over the place, and his flexibility within the offense makes it valuable position for them.
Hello, Coach. Good morning. Federico Olvera, Amebola from Radio 13, Mexico City.
Yes.
Coach, what's your strategy to arrive in a good shape in January in the playoffs? What are those things you do and you say to your players to execute well on the game and mostly in the Super Bowls?
Yeah, so there's a lot of hoopla that goes on with the game, and everybody patting you on the back, and all of that's great. But you still got to practice. So when we come out here, we practice and we go over to the field every day, make sure we get our work done. Take care of your diet. The players do that, and rest becomes important. So you try to keep them in a routine the best way you possibly can with the different events that they have, they're obligated to.
Andy, a couple things. Kadarius Toney, what are his chances of playing on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. He's been practicing, and we'll just see whether he's up or not. Yeah.
And what about Jayhawk McKinnon as well?
Jayhawk is not practicing. I tell you, it's slim for him to be out there.
Coach Reid, last year I got to interview you and I asked you if you considered your Kansas City Chiefs in a dynasty. You told me that it was not in you to define them like that. Given the circumstances and seeing you back here again, I have to ask, has your answer changed? Are you the new dynasty?
Yeah, so I think the best answer I can give you is when you're in the mix of things like we are, you don't really look at that. You're so focused in on the next game. And I think if you make that your focus, you're probably going to have a problem and get knocked off whatever pedestal people think you're on. And so this game, there's too much parity in this game to take your energy and put it in that direction. So we're focusing on this game here against a great football team, and it's going to take all our energy to do well against them. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Andy.
Hey.
What would you like to see from Joe Thuney to make him possible to play Sunday? And as a veteran coach, how hard is it to know a guy's an all-pro and is trying to be out there, but you have to maybe make the difficult decision to not play him in the biggest game of the season?
Yeah, Nate, it's strength and making sure that he's in a position that he doesn't get hurt worse than what he's got. And so that's what we look at.
Do you anticipate he's going to try to practice this week?
We'll see. I mean, I think it's a long shot, yeah.
Coach Reid, 11 Sports, The Zone, the American football community in Belgium. You have coached in a lot of Super Bowls. You won Super Bowls. You lost Super Bowls. Which of the Super Bowls you won gave you the most satisfaction? And which of the Super Bowls you lost stuck with you the longest?
Yeah, that's a good question because the ones you lose stick with you, and the ones you win stick with you. So they're in a good way. But I tell you, always the first one that you win is something special. Not that the other one wasn't, but and then the losses, you try to learn from them the best you can. And I can remember about every play from each one of those. So, yeah.
Coach Reid, Jake Bodine with God Behind Bars.
Yep.
I, as a father of five myself, and you being a father of five, how do you balance football and family?
Yeah, so I'd probably add faith in there too, because that helps along that trail, obviously. So I think it's important that you spend time with your family. I've got 12 grandkids and one on the way, and so it's important that we divide our time up. I'm blessed to have a great wife that likes to travel and go see all the grandkids, and she has a little bit more freedom to do that. But if I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing football or family. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm not a golfer. I don't go fishing and all that stuff. So it's either family or football or church. So, yeah.
Coach, year over year, you have two new tackles. Just as you look back at the year, how have you seen them develop and confidence level of them slowing down Bosa and company?
Yeah, so we had those inside three that were kind of the nucleus of it, and then we were able to welcome in two new tackles, and things started off relatively slow just because of the expectation level coming into a team that had been winning, but they've worked their tail off, and they also came from winning programs, so they worked their tail off to fit into the scheme and have done a nice job with that. So I've been happy with their progress.
Hi, Andy. We talk a lot about the various player matchups, but I wanted to ask you, how about the coaching matchup? Like yourself, Kyle's considered one of the tops in the profession. What's it like going up against him?
Yeah, it's an honor to be able to go against him. I think he is one of the top coaches in the National Football League, obviously. This isn't just a one-year thing for him. He's been doing this now for a while. So I have a ton of respect for him. He is a great offensive mind, but he's also very sharp from a defensive standpoint on special teams, which makes him a great head football coach, and ton of respect for him. Look forward to the challenge of being able to do that on Sunday.
Andy, Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. You only have 2 of your defensive starters from the last time these 2 teams played in the Super Bowl. You guys have remade your defense. It's pretty easy for teams to stick with winning guys. What prompted you guys to make over the defense so much in these last 4 or 5 years, and how have you been able to do that while still winning at the elite level?
Yeah, I would tell you age was some of the factor in this world of the NFL and free agency. Things change. Brett Veach has done a nice job of bringing an influx of young guys into the program. Those young guys, a bunch of them were in that secondary, and they've gotten better here with time. So we took some bumps and bruises early last year, but they've gotten better. They got better towards the end of last year, and then they just picked up on it and have done a nice job working into this year. But I would tell you, Brett, the job that Brett does between free agency and the draft is second to none. I mean, he does a great job with all that.
So that's Andy Reid, a large portion anyway of what Andy Reid had to say speaking to the media in Las Vegas earlier today. I do want to mention this. I don't normally do this because I want everyone to get the full picture of what was said. I cut out a question there to save some time while I was recording it.
I think I know what question that is.
A German reporter asked Andy Reid about his thoughts on the conspiracy theory that the NFL and the Biden administration are like forcing Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift together so that people will watch the Super Bowl and then be swayed to vote again for Joe Biden to be president. I'm going to be completely honest with you because, I don't like to talk politics. I don't even think this is a political thing. I don't really care what you think about our current president or about the future potential presidents. I don't care any of that. If you believe that, please seek help. Like right now. Like turn off your radio, turn off your computer, please go seek help. Like there are so many other ways that people would try to sway you to vote other than we're going to put a pretty blonde woman on TV. Like, please, I'm begging you. Like, believe anything else. Anything. I'm just begging you.
Man, like the whole world is not a conspiracy. Like I
You don't need to ask Andy Reid about this, man.
No.
You don't.
Very important story in Germany, I guess. They got nothing else going on.
Yeah, apparently so. That'll do it for this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour of the show, we'll break down the Sunflower Showdown. We'll hear from Jordan Foote, and we've got Random Question Tuesday. It's all coming up next hour here on 580 Sports Talk. now, 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk going up on a Tuesday. Brendan Dworzynski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, all here with you on this Tuesday afternoon, 5 days from Super Bowl 58. And just 2 days from our return trip to Prairie Band Sportsbook at Prairie Band Casino off 150th Road, right up 75 Highway in Mayetta. We will be there for the full show, coming up on Thursday afternoon. Not only will we be talking Super Bowl, but since we're going to be at the Sportsbook on a Thursday afternoon, you know what we're going to do? Well, I'm not going to speak for you. I'm not going to make you do it, but you know what I'm going to do?
We're going to get down.
Oh, we're getting down, all right. We're getting down with the best day of the week, the best day of the college basketball week.
Yes, sir.
Say it with me, folks.
American East Thursday.
Yeah. Hashtag Fade Binghamton is back on the menu. We're riding with the Catamounts after foolishly not doing so last week. Oh, I'm so ready for it. Be the first time I place an in-person wager on some America East basketball. I can't wait.
Tingling. I got chills.
Can't wait for it coming up on Thursday. We would love to see you guys up there. Come hang out with us at Prairie Band Sportsbook. It's at the casino. It is an awesome place. We saw a bunch of you guys last time we were up there just as the Sportsbook was opening a few weeks ago. Really cool to see you. If you want to come hang out with us again, it's just 20 minutes north of the capital city up 75 Highway. So we'd love to see you for the full show. It was just 2 hours last time. We've got the full 4-hour show that is going to be live from Prairie Band Sportsbook coming up this Thursday. So just 2 days from today. Here in this hour of 580 Sports Talk today, we will break down the Sunflower Showdown. We will get to Random Question Tuesday, and we will talk to Jordan Foote from Arrowhead Report and Sports Illustrated as we break down Super Bowl 58. Been a couple of weeks since we've heard from Jordan, so looking forward to getting to chat with him coming up in just a little bit. Your texts are welcome. 785-272-9429 is the text line number, and you can also, of course, find us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel, just like it is the name of the show. And you can come check out our brand new video camera views today. We normally have the views where it's right in front of your face. It's right in our eyeballs. Today now, we switched it up. We've got these new cameras in studio and on the other side of the glass over the control board where Spencer is.
You will never have to look at our uvulas again.
No.
Ever. That will never happen again.
How did you pronounce that word?
Uvula.
How would you say that word?
Oh,
I always pronounce like a hard U.
uvula. Yeah, uvula.
I don't know, man. Do I look like a doctor to you?
It's not a problem. I just have never heard that pronunciation before. That was a new one. I like the newness of it.
Yeah, you get to see our whole studio, which we're going to be pimping out here soon.
Yeah, so Spencer already got the Caps jersey back there by the door. The control room. I've got plenty of space here. I'll bring the cheese head out at some point. Dan's got a bunch of stuff I'm sure you can bring over.
Is the cheese head just down the hall in the other?
Yeah, it's actually in another studio. I was using that one for a while. When we were first building out the YouTube, the channel, before we were doing the daily streams, I was just like trying to make content for it and would just say like, hey, here's a daily 5 things you should know, but that only lasted so long because I have a full-time job and can't do that.
He was trying to be an influencer, and
yeah,
it didn't take.
I was trying to be Mr. Beast. It really didn't work out. Is that what he does? Like he does videos, right? I don't
know. Apparently, he has a burger chain too, only on DoorDash. And I will tell you from last Friday night, not a good burger. That is what I had while I was producing basketball.
So
wait a minute. You're scrolling through your phone, all these choices, and you thought to yourself, I'm going to get that Mr. Beast burger.
Well, it technically is the closest thing to Huntoon Hill.
Okay.
Because it's out of that Mexican restaurant right down the road.
Yeah.
On the corner there of Wanamaker and Huntoon.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was the closest restaurant. I wasn't wanting Mexican, so I was like, Mr. Beast, I'll just try it. I regret it. It was the biggest waste of $20.
$20.
Yeah, because you got a DoorDash delivery fee, you got a DoorDash fee, you got the tip the driver.
I mean, you do got to tip the driver.
Yeah.
That's
the Mr. Beast burger.
The Mr. Beast.
It's the last time I get pawned into doing something from the internet.
I'm gonna put
the last time.
You might as well get
like there's a party in your mouth and Mr. Beast is invited.
It isn't his whole thing. Like he makes goofy videos, then gives away tons of money. Like he should at least put a 20 in the bag.
Yeah,
or something.
that's what I'm saying. That would have been nice.
So I was just trying to do like content creation, but when I had games to prepare for and shows to get ready for, even when it was just the two of us or when it was just Jake and I didn't have time for that. So it was hard to do. So I just sort of there's a bobblehead still in there. I think my Jeff Montgomery bobblehead is still in that studio too. A Chiefs football, like one of those autograph signature balls is in there. So maybe I'll bring that. Maybe I'll just transition it from the studio we use the least in the building into the desk now.
We get the David Beatty sign in here.
We could do that. Yeah. Put it right over here. Freaking David Beatty. I hope he's miserable.
I'll tell you what, you guys get more space than me because I share this studio in the mornings. I don't think anybody's over there in the mornings, are they?
I think occasionally some of the ag team are in here for ag issues. I don't know if that's a daily thing or not. I'm going to be honest with you. Like what Greg and Slade do on a day, or Kelly Lenz once upon a time, like they're up and producing shows at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Nah, brother.
I did notice that. Like when I was first checking out the Facebook and stuff.
Yeah. Like early morning.
Early.
I know there is, a lot of the economy of our state is built on the backs of people who work incredibly hard before or right as the sun is coming up. And I am not saying any of this to disparage you because I know you are working harder than I will ever work in my life. I get that.
No, sometimes couldn't be me is the highest compliment you can pay.
Yeah, no, I am committed to the grind. I ain't committed to that grind. Okay, let's be honest here. I could not handle that. So I don't know. By the time that they're done, though, I'm like just getting to work, if not like just leaving home. So I'm not sure how often folks are actually using this studio. But I mean, if they want to put on the cheesehead, they're more than welcome to. I'm pretty sure it's a youth one. It's from when Britt was a kid, but he just brought it in. He's like, hey, I have this at my parents' house. Do you want it? Yes. But I put it on my head and it immediately falls off. It is not deep enough. The crown of it is not deep enough for the size of my head. Why don't we get to the Sunflower Showdown from last night?
Let's do it.
K-State wins. And I want to get to this take here with the caveat first. K-State deserves a lot of credit for winning because they did not play, I thought, an especially good brand of offensive basketball. That's kind of been their thing for a while. Bill Self said it. They guarded really hard. I thought the effort level was 100% there from K-State.
They were the desperate team.
Yes.
This is what we thought coming in. It was very much, it played out that way, that Kansas looked like they didn't have as much in the tank coming out of their emotional home win over Houston on Saturday. And K-State played that game like a team that knew if they lost, it was going to be really, really hard for them to get to where they still want to go this season, which is the NCAA tournament. So they had the desperation factor.
Yes.
There was no doubt about that.
Absolutely so. I do feel, though, that whoever was going to lose this game was going to come out of it not just like frustrated, we lost the rivalry game, we lost the Sunflower Showdown, bummer, but was going to come out of this game feeling like, damn it, we had it. We had the chance to win it. It's such a frustrating way to lose. For K-State, it would have very simply been some of the dumbest turnovers imaginable. Like at the end of the game, and it did eventually lead to a second turnover on the same possession, and DeJuan Harris going to the free throw line. Tyler Perry just sort of loses the dribble, then tries to pass it up ahead, throws it directly off of KJ Adams, gets it back, and then immediately has it stolen away again. Like, chill, slow down.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Will McNair, I swear, forgot the rules of basketball multiple times. He had a travel, and it was the first of, he had either 2 or 3 for the game. It was the first one. It was on the left-hand side of the screen. Or, no, it must have been the second half. He catches the ball. He just takes 3 steps with it before dribbling.
Yeah, that was his second.
The second one.
Yeah, because his first one I didn't think was a travel, but then that last one was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Like,
you know you have to dribble, right?
What in the world? And I know that's been a problem all year for K-State. I know that's not anything new, but it would have just been in a close game like that. Like, damn, if we had just not committed, what was it, 16 was the final number?
I think they had 16 turnovers, yeah.
If we commit 13, we would have won.
Well, they had every opportunity, it felt like, down the stretch to get over the hump and take a lead, and they kept not doing it. They kept having opportunities, and they would let them slip away either because they would miss a good shot, like Cam Carter missed. They were on an 11-0 run, and Cam Carter missed a wide open three-pointer.
I laughed. I chuckled when he missed it because he was so open.
He was so open, and that felt like the roof would have caved in from the noise at Bramlage Coliseum if he would have made that shot. And KU, I think, went down and immediately scored to regain the lead. And there were all kinds of opportunities late because neither team, in truth, looked like they had a lot of steam, a lot of gas. I felt like you really saw that down the stretch in regulation where the possessions weren't as good. The basketball got a little ragged, and it felt like K-State was missing opportunity after opportunity. And how many times has that been the case when Kansas State's got like a real legit shot to beat Kansas, and for whatever reason they let it slip? But I'm still not sure how Tyler Perry tipped that ball in to tie the game. I'm not sure if Tyler Perry tipped that ball in to tie the game with like a minute 17 left in regulation. I thought that went on off of Hunter Dickinson.
Oh, I thought so too.
I did too.
Yeah, I think it did.
And I mean, you guys are watching on TV. That happened completely across the way from me, and I was in the rafters last night. I was higher up than the Aoka Lee banner.
I was wondering why I couldn't see you when they went with the reverse baseline camera.
Yes, a lot of media in town, and I was up at the very, very top with the good TV folks up there. So they had the radio and TV jockeys up in the upper tank, but. Effort play by Arthur Kaluma to get a steal to take the lead. KU, of course, calls a timeout. They draw something up great in the huddle, tie the game. But it goes to overtime, and K-State just has that tremendous belief that they're going to win overtime games. And they're now 11-0 in overtime games under Jerome Tang, which is incredible. They have set the record for the most overtime wins in a season.
Yeah, and they have the record for the longest overtime winning streak in Big 12 history.
Yeah, it's remarkable stuff. It's the level of belief that they have. I want to address this comment from Vance and Matt.
Yeah,
are kind of on the same wavelength in our YouTube comments. Vance saying he believed that the key to the game was keeping Furphy irrelevant.
Yep.
And Matt dovetails off of that, says, given the strength of the Big 12, KU's bench still worries me going forward. So this is why I'm not freaking out about this game for Kansas, because, you know, sometimes you lose a game and it reveals something about your team or it reveals a weakness that maybe you previously didn't know about. I don't think we saw that for Kansas last night. Kansas is still who we thought they were. When Kansas's first five play well, they can beat literally anybody in the country. They've got an incredibly impressive collection of victories already that bear this out. When their starting five plays well, there is nobody they can't beat. But when one or two links in that chain don't quite pull their weight, then they can be had by what we would consider inferior competition. It's what happened at UCF when Hunter Dickinson wasn't quite 100% and Kevin McCullough didn't shoot it well, and they went and lost that game. It's what happened last night when Johnny Furphy was a zero. Like, I don't know how that was the same guy that had 17 and 8 against Houston. And maybe it's just being a freshman in the Big 12 and having that quick turnaround from Saturday to Monday sapped his energy, or playing on the road sapped his energy. I don't know what it was, but Johnny Furphy was barely there. And that can't happen. Like, they need him to be that perimeter threat because he wasn't. That kept K-State able to defend the paint a little more and make it harder for Hunter Dickinson, who was 8 of 18 from the field. Now, a lot of those misses were just rub the green, bad bounces. Like, he'll make those shots moving forward. I don't think there was anything troubling about Hunter Dickinson, like, missing a bunch of chippies last night. It's just one of those things that happens sometimes.
Yeah. And KJ missed at least 2 as well. And he's usually so good around the rim, but there were multiple balls you could see, even from the parallel angle to the floor. You could just see it slightly off to the right, spin around and out.
Yes.
Like, it's just
like halfway down and then popping out. Yeah, it happened to him. It happened to McCullough. It happened to Adams around the rim. It was just the finishing wasn't good. They shot their worst percentage in a Big 12 game all season last night after shooting 69% against Houston. Like, sometimes that's just the way, literally, the ball bounces. So we know that about KU, though, that if one or two links in the chain weren't pulling their weight in a game, Furphy, a cipher for what the 38 minutes he was on the floor. Dickinson had an off night, wasn't as efficient as he usually is. McCullough was not as efficient as he usually is and went 1 of 5 at the free throw line.
We'll get to that in a second.
Those are the kinds of things that are going to get KU beat because they don't have a ton of depth. and they don't have like that guy who's going to come off the bench and bail you out by hitting a couple of threes. They are so dependent on that first five. When they all play well, unbelievable team.
Yeah.
When they don't all play well, they can be had. And we saw that last night. They got.
Clayton sums it up well here on YouTube. They have the ability, KU does, to win all these games. It just seems like they can't get all firing on all cylinders against the unranked teams. And yeah, I mean, that was the problem against UCF. Now, UCF actually far more respectable than I was giving them credit for. And
Yeah, they've ended up
points to
being
them.
a little bit tougher than
But
I thought. Yeah.
K-State playing its worst basketball in 2 or 3 seasons. West Virginia is not good. Iowa State is good, and that's a hard place to play. But you know what I'm saying, and I think we are all in agreement on this point. But that brings back to my original point here. And while K-State won, so you can't really ignore the 16 turnovers and how bad some of them were, but you won. You found a way to dig it out and win.
And that's what they had to do. Like,
Yeah.
even if it didn't win any beauty contests, they just had to find a way to have more points than the opponent at the end of the night. They found a way to do that. They rescued some broken possessions. That finish by Tyler Perry in overtime that gave KU the lead. Unbelievable play. And again, second half Tyler Perry is a thing.
Yeah,
He had
it really is.
21 of his 26 in the second half in overtime last night. And showing again the ability to kind of, even though he is a flawed player, we have spent a lot of time talking about what Tyler Perry isn't this year, but what Tyler Perry is, one, a real threat from behind the arc. He hit 4 of his 10 threes last night. You do that for a full season, you're one of the best three-point shooters in the country. 4 or 10, you take it. The other thing that he's proven he can do is grab the Wildcats by the scruff of the neck and kind of pull them across the finish line in these close games. And yeah, you wish those close games earlier in the season weren't against the Oral Robertses and North Alabamas of the world, but he's also kind of shown that he can do that against good teams. Did it against Villanova in the non-conference, helped him out in a big way against Baylor, and then here in this K-State game. Oklahoma State at home was another one where he did that, and then the KU game last night. He just dragged him across the finish line because K-State did not get a good game from Arthur Kaluma, and Cam Carter cooled off after a hot start. It had to be Tyler Perry, and it was Tyler Perry.
I think you look back, there's about, 5.5 minutes left in regulation. It was 52 all. I was talking to one of my buddies last night who works in college hoops, and we were talking about just the Big 12 this season and KU and K-State, and he went to KU for a year back in 2017. But he was like, if this game is where it is, K-State's at home, they have the momentum. There's no way they lose this game at 54 all because they're happy to be in it at 54 all right now with the way that they've been playing, and the fans help them a lot, the momentum being at home. And even Coach Self said that in the post game. He said, if you have the fans like they were tonight, you're K-State, you're going to win 9 times out of 10, essentially.
And the funny thing was, and I mean, you were there, you know better than I do. I didn't think it was like a historic Bramlage crowd. Like, I remember the 22 game that we were talking about yesterday where KU came back from 16 or 17 down 1. Like, the crowd that day, 2019, like, deafening, hurt your ears kind of loud. Maybe it was just ESPN's mics because they're notoriously terrible, but it didn't, until the latter part of the game, it really didn't feel quite like that. And it's not a criticism. It's just not every game can be the best crowd of all time.
Right. No, it got there, I think, by the end of the night. It got to that level early on. I mean, it's different when it's not a top 10 matchup like it was last year. There's a little extra juice for a game like that, as opposed to K-State having come in, lost 4 straight. There was a little bit of, in the crowd, all right, show us what you got. And, you know, if you've got a little something tonight, we'll pull you along and we'll boost you down the stretch. So there was, I think, some of that as well. Christopher asks on the YouTube, 4 road games left for KU: Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and Houston. They end 10-8 in the conference, so can they snag a couple of those? I would be very surprised if they don't win at least 2 of those.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I think they will get one done. Like, I think they beat Oklahoma. And a big reason why I think they can beat Oklahoma is nobody there is going to care, because nobody there cares about Oklahoma basketball. That building has been, even when KU comes to town, they fill it up, but it's not exactly like playing Bramlage on Big Monday.
They're going to protect home floor. And then, those are 4 tough road games, but they get 2-2 in those games. They've finished 12-6 in the league. They probably won't win the league with that record, though. I'll tell you that. I think 13-5 is going to win the league.
Yeah.
And I think Houston
probably.
Houston has KU at home on senior night in the season finale. That might be for the league.
Yeah, very well could be.
We'll see what those stakes do. One other thing I want to point out for K-State and their part and their performance in this game, Jarrell Colbert is really coming along.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when he and David Gasson are on the floor together, right now, that's K-State's best 5.
Mm-hmm.
Colbert, his minutes are kind of limited right now because he didn't play at all last year as a redshirt. So they're building him up. They're trying to bring him along slowly. There's a lot of Jerome Tang talked about in his post-game interview on the radio. There's a feel for the game that he's still developing as he goes.
Mm-hmm.
But Colbert blocked Dickinson's first shot of the night last night.
Yes,
He started the game. He blocked that first shot. There's a bit of a statement that was made there on that play. He provides rim protection that this team needs. And David Gasson, again, their most switchable defender. I think Colbert was plus 21 in 16 minutes last night. And Gasson was something like plus 16 in his 28, 29 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were, even though they're not going to put up big scoring numbers. In fact, Colbert didn't score at all, I don't believe. Those two are really, really important. I think they help K-State defensively, and that's the kind of identity I think K-State needs. The guards, Carter, Perry, and then Kaluma are going to be the big scorers. Interior just needs to be, the front court needs to be defensive minded. They're a top 25 defense in the country, according to Ken Pom. I think Colbert and Gasson make that better. I also want to talk about the post-game stuff. No court storming after the game. And I know there were some people that say, come on, let the kids storm the court. I'm not like anti-court storming at all. I think you need to make sure you can guarantee the safety of the opposing team before you start thinking about court storming.
And that's why I like that at K-State, and I've seen many other places do this, they bring out the rope first, and they keep the players sequestered, get them off, and then everybody pour in over here.
The way they lay it out at Bramlage Coliseum, you're kind of uniquely positioned to be able to do that. But Jerome Tang and his assistants put their hands out, said, no court storm. We don't want to storm the court. And Jerome Tang saying after the game, they don't storm the court in Lawrence. They don't storm the court at Duke or North Carolina. That's who we want to be. Is that a lofty goal for Kansas State men's basketball? Absolutely it is. But I like that that's their goal. I like the way that they talk about storming the court. I like the fact that the program's attitude is, we want you, the fans, the students, to expect that we will win these games, to expect that we will beat Kansas at the Octagon of Doom. That's the first time they've won back-to-back home games in the series in almost 10 years. 2014, 2015 was the last time K-State beat KU at home in back-to-back years. They want K-State fans to expect wins like that and not go crazy for wins like that. And I like that that's the attitude. I've always admired that is Jerome Tang's stance on that.
That was my big takeaway from the presser last night, watching it back and wondering why watching that game, why it didn't happen, then learning why it happened. And then because it went right into Sports Center with SVP afterwards, and they were showing Tang in the student section. He went up and was
We'll
in the
go
student section.
celebrate with you.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do the court storming here because we expect to win.
And it saves you some money too.
Real quick, I do want to just note for KU, Furphy did nothing. I mean, he was a no-show in the game, and that happens with freshmen sometimes, even really good ones like him. It was not an efficient game for Hunter Dickinson, and you had your own fair share. KU didn't turn it over a ton, but the ones that did have, like DeJuan Harris just lost the dribble at one point in the first half. You remember that? He just was dribbling and just lost it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something that usually happens to him. So it was not a perfect game, and yet you were still there, and you still had a chance. And Marco Jackson was terrible off the bench. Parker Brown did not have his finest game.
The bench gave them less than nothing last night. So that put even more of the onus on the starters. And again, one or two of them had a bad night, and that makes you susceptible. They won't lose every game like that, but they are most susceptible to getting beat when that is the case.
And it wasn't Kevin McCullough's fault that KU lost. It was not. And Kevin McCullough has been awesome, and I love the dude, and I'm not trying to blame him for the loss. You don't plan for him to be not bad, terrible very often. Like, he's an 83% free throw shooter who went 1 for 5 at the line, including missing a clutch front end of a 1-and-1 late in the game. Like, you take away his 2 really terrible turnovers late, and he makes 2 more of those free throws, KU ends up winning that game probably. So that's why it's so frustrating for KU. But K-State deserves credit because they played hard. They had the desperation, backs against the wall, and they got it done when they needed to. KU didn't.
They got the win they had to get. Now they're in a position where if they protect home court, that's all they got to do the rest of the way. If they want to get to those 9 Big 12 wins, that will give them a great shot at the tournament.
Coming up a little bit later on this hour, we'll talk to Jordan Foote from Arrowhead Report. We've got a quick round of Random Question Tuesday coming up right after this on 580 Sports Talk. real quick round of Random Question Tuesday before we get to Jordan Foote from Sports Illustrated here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, inspired by Spencer for whatever reason ordering the Mr. Beast burger the other night. I just can't get over it, man.
I'm glad you get laughs out of my
your
waste
pain,
of money.
Your misery.
Yeah.
Give us a fast food order that you can't do. A fast food place you just will not do. You're with a group of friends. They say, "Hey, we're ordering X. What do you want?" You say, "I will go hungry."
Man, I don't know. I used to have some boundaries, and now I don't have those anymore. I used to be pretty stringently anti-Arby's, but man, the beef and cheddar kind of hits. I can't lie. And I got the curly fries. I used to not be the biggest Taco Bell fan in the world. Now I go there very frequently. So I don't really have a place where I say, no, absolutely not, will not do that. I will give you one fast food item, though, that I would never try for any amount of money. Sonic just rolled out pulled pork. Get that out of my face.
I, along with you, have a different place with Taco Bell. I used to eat Taco Bell here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't stomach it now.
Can't stomach it? Wow.
I can stomach it, but
okay. All right.
Yeah. It's not a good after food.
Okay.
And then something I would never eat, would never try, is a McRib.
Okay. Yeah. Now you're on.
Now you're on the list. Oh my God. I love McRib. We're getting Gene Castle in here one of these days. And Gene and I are going to eat McRibs with the whole crew.
Brendan loves McRib.
Oh, they're so good. I can't wait for it to come back again next time. By the way, for me, it's Arby's. You can eat your beef and cheddar whenever you want. They are gross and disgusting. It's
wrong.
Vomit food. Awful.
Absolutely not.
Jordan Foote joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis here with you on this February 6th as we continue gearing up for Super Bowl 58. And as we continue previewing the fourth Chiefs Super Bowl in the last 5 years, we welcome in our good friend Jordan Foote from Arrowhead Report at Sports Illustrated, the deputy editor of Arrowhead Report. You can find him on Twitter as well at Footnoted. That's Foote noted. Jordan, what's going on, man? How excited are you to be covering another Chiefs Super Bowl?
It's insane, man. And to think that if you would have asked me, let's say 5 weeks ago, if this team was going to be in this position, I definitely would have had my doubts. So that just is a testament to the championship pedigree they have built, the consistency, and another year where they're keeping us busy heading into the home stretch of college basketball and then a little bit of baseball season, man.
So what do you think then, Jordan, going back over this playoff run to the late regular season? I mean, I think we can all point to that Raiders game on Christmas Day and saying, yeah, this ain't a Super Bowl team. I mean, they're good, obviously good. They're going to make a run in the playoffs, but they're probably not a Super Bowl team. What has been the difference from that moment to where we are now, where all of a sudden, despite being a betting underdog, it feels like tons of people all over are picking the Chiefs to win this weekend?
Yeah, so I think part of it, and this is something that has always been kind of a running conspiracy theory that people buy a little bit into, is Andy Reid is kind of coasting during some of those regular season stretches and doesn't implement his best game plans and has very specific things intact for the playoffs, and that's kind of been the case. And you can always play devil's advocate and say Miami was very banged up at defensive end, Buffalo's defense extremely banged up pretty much at all levels, and then Baltimore is Baltimore in the playoffs. But really, the Chiefs still had to go out there and get the job done, and there were plenty of games this season where they just couldn't get out of their own way, and you kind of saw stretches of that with a Justin Watson drop here and there or a McCole Hardman fumble, stuff like that. But shortening up the amount of those mistakes, I think, was huge. On offense, leaning into the run game a little more, going with that gap power scheme instead of some of the outside zone that was just frustratingly bad during the regular season. They really took everything that wasn't working and people kept clamoring for them to change, and they went and did that. And it's really a surprise to me that they implemented such sweeping and really dialing things back, but going with what worked. And it sounds simple, but people were begging for it all season long. It was holding them back. Combine that with the defense that just keeps playing well and keeps churning out good games, and the Chiefs are here in the Super Bowl.
We actually talked about that a little bit earlier in the show and some of the ways that the 49ers have struggled against the run, especially as the playoffs have dragged on. The Chiefs found some success relying on Isaiah Pacheco in the ground game. So while I'm not asking you to predict, Jordan, that Andy Reid has suddenly become, Mr. Establish the Run, but do you think going a little bit heavier and being willing to rely on number 10 might be a recipe for success in this matchup?
No, absolutely. And listen, in Isaiah Pacheco's 3 playoff games this year, he has a touchdown in each of them, and he's ran the ball 24 times in the wild card round, 15 times in the divisional round, and 24 more in the AFC Championship game. So I think another 15 to 20 carry game is in the cards for him. San Francisco, 18th in explosive run rate, 25th in EPA per play against the run. They're a team that when they go into their nickel package, very, very bad, like a bottom 2, bottom 3 team against the run. This defensive matchup, listen, they have talent. They have Chase Young. They have Bosa. Fred Warner's out there. Charvarius Ward's an awesome cornerback. But I really think this matchup's favorable for the Chiefs, and not just in the run game. San Fran, 40% of their plays are short left or short right attacked in the passing game on defense. They're about 20th combined in EPA per play against those. Behind the line of scrimmage, they don't cover very well. This kind of aligns for the Chiefs to lean into the things they've been leaning into, get those 4 strong formations out there, run the sail concepts, get jumbo personnel. The Chiefs have chances and opportunities, I think, and really, despite the rankings of San Fran's defense, this is a good game for the Chiefs to play in.
Our guest is Jordan Foote, covers the Kansas City Chiefs for Arrowhead Report, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Check out Jordan on Twitter at Foote with an E, Foote, noted. Jordan, how confident should Chiefs fans feel about the matchup between Steve Spagnuolo with an extra week of preparation and Brock Purdy and this 49er defense?
I think really darn good. And listen, San Fran, it's a whole different ball of wax with the run game, and we can probably talk about that here in a second. But Purdy specifically, really fearless, aggressive quarterback. And I've been saying this week, I guess there is a scenario where the Chiefs secondary that doesn't have tremendous ball skills really outside of Mike Edwards gets attacked down the field in that intermediate range. Some of those passes get caught. There's a little bit of yard after the catch, but the Chiefs are tremendous at limiting that yard after the catch. I think the secondary is one of the best that San Fran is going to face all year. And Brock Purdy in a big scenario, he is susceptible to making some pretty wild decisions. And I think this game more than any could be susceptible to that. So you combine that with what we saw against Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game, two different styles of quarterbacks, but I think the tenet remains the same. You want to change the picture on them. You want to get exotic with your blitz packages. You want to make things more challenging mentally for that quarterback. And luckily for the Chiefs, they have the perfect guy at coordinator to make that happen.
Now, one thing that can make life easier for Brock Purdy is to live in second and short, third and short, and I'm sure that's what the 49ers are going to try to do with their running game. What about the 49ers on the ground makes them so effective, and what do the Chiefs have to do well to make sure that they're limiting the impact, particularly on early downs, of Christian McCaffrey and that 49er ground attack?
I can't really understate how tough that's going to be. And part of it is Christian McCaffrey just being a great athlete and being great at breaking tackles and keeping his legs moving and all of that stuff. Part of it's the offensive line. Part of it is the scheme. The 49ers, I believe the stat is like 75-ish% of their offensive run blocking scheme is zone. The Chiefs' run defense is just downright dreadful against zone. Now they're bottom, I think 7 or 8 in general on an EPA per play basis, but every stat you can pretty much look for, the Chiefs struggle against that. And you're missing Charles Omenihu, although he's more of a pass rush specialist. He still is one of those defensive linemen that can do the dirty work, can set a quality edge, can play good run defense, get a splash play here and there. The one player I think to keep an eye on, it's going to be Nick Bolton, and he's a polarizing player to talk about. People either love or hate his run defense, it seems, and they say he's aggressive, and then he gets washed out of a play, and it's a constant tug of war. Nick Bolton needs to have a big game here, and I think the defensive ends are important too. Losing Derek Nottie, definitely something notable, although the combination on the inside has been fairly solid in relief of him. But the Niners run offense versus the Chiefs run defense. I talked about how the Chiefs offense is a really good matchup against San Francisco. You can easily flip that and say it's the same thing for San Francisco's offense.
Who's one player you think that maybe isn't going to get talked about, maybe isn't going to get a lot of pregame publicity, but you think could have a really outsized impact on this game for either team, given what they're going to be asked to do and the opportunities they might find themselves in to make plays?
I'm going to cheat, I guess, a little bit and say Rashee Rice. And technically, you can look, he had 8 catches against Baltimore 4 the week before, and then obviously the huge game against Miami. But it's just tailor-made for him to have a really big game. And I mentioned earlier, short left attacked 20% of the time. They're 17th in EPA per play there. They're really worse on the right side, behind the line of scrimmage in both areas, just really struggle. This is built for a Rashee Rice yards after the catch game, and get the ball to him quickly, get him in space, let him do what he does best. This is going to be a Rashee Rice game, I think. And Travis Kelce is probably going to get his because he's been a lot more productive as of late, looks more healthy and spry out there on the field. I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to do his thing as well. But if there's one player, at least on the offensive side, that the matchup favors, I got to go with the rookie wideout.
We're chatting with Jordan Foote, deputy editor of Arrowhead Report at Sports Illustrated, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Go check out his great work covering the Chiefs at Arrowhead Report on SI. And, of course, you can find him on Twitter as well. His handle there is @FootNoted. Jordan, who is the 49er defensive player that you feel like the Chiefs need to try to neutralized as much as possible? Is it Fred Warner because he's the best linebacker in the NFL? Is it Nick Bosa because he is such a talented edge rusher? Who is the guy that you feel the Chiefs need to kind of scheme out of the game defensively?
Yeah, it's Nick Bosa, and it's almost impossible to strictly scheme him out of the game. He's just such a damn good player, but they can do their best. And the Chiefs haven't really shied away from going to six-man protections and having their running backs out there, having Travis Kelce give a little bit of chip help to the offensive tackles. I think that's even more of an increased possibility when they go to some of their 4-strong formations. You maybe get Blake Bell out there in 13 personnel. Like, there are ways to protect the offensive line a little bit. Luckily for them, despite the penalties, the duo of Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor has been better as of late and into the playoffs. So Trey Smith likes working in a phone booth. If Jawan Taylor gets beat, on the flip side, Nick Allegretti and then Donovan Smith on the left, missing Joe Thuney is going to hurt. The flip side of that, I think getting back Jerick McKinnon would be a really big deal for the Chiefs, and it has nothing to do with him as a receiver, and it has nothing to do with him as a runner. I think just his pass blocking would be a really big advantage, and it could potentially help by, de facto get a Fred Warner out of the game, which then frees up a little bit more attention for Bosa. So he's definitely the one I've got an eye on.
This is a little more narrative-based and headline-based than it is actual analysis of the game, Jordan. But does it feel like the two teams are sort of approaching this Super Bowl and this week a little bit differently? I mean, you've got the Chiefs with, they have been there before. They've been there, in fact, now 4 times in the last 5 years. Just played in the Super Bowl last year. It feels a little bit more business-like for this team. It feels like through their media so far, they've sort of approached it the same way. Meanwhile, the 49ers, they're out here complaining about the UNLV turf that they're dealing with. Charvarius Ward is saying, yeah, we're going to go enjoy Vegas for a little bit before we lock in. Does it just feel like there's a little bit of a different approach from these two sides, or is that more so buying into some of the built-in Super Bowl hype?
No, I think you're mostly right there. And I was going to bring up the Charvarius Ward point, so I'm glad you did. And I'm not going to accuse a certain head coach of having too good of a time before open media night. That was something that Twitter was kind of conspiring, and saying Shanny was cutting loose a little bit too much. But even then, they're acting like not just they've been there before, like this is something they always do. They're just treating it like it's no big deal, and they're out there just casually. It's not the biggest game of the year. It's not the most important. Whereas the Chiefs, you could say that same thing, that it's run-of-the-mill for them, but they're still treating it like a really big-time business trip, and they're treating it like they have been there before. They're sticking to their routine, and it's ironic because George Kittle's probably been the most outspoken on San Fran about treating it like the same thing, getting into your routine, skip dinner with your agent. You can do it the week after. Like, he is saying all the right stuff. But just about everyone else, man, between the practice field and the facility, between Charvarius Ward, just between some of the comments they've had, I try not to buy too much into that, but the Chiefs definitely seem to want to get this season over with quickly and have it end with a win. Than San Fran, that seems to want to have a good time down in Vegas and hopefully come away with a Super Bowl win.
All right, Jordan, what's the pick? Do the Chiefs get back-to-back Super Bowls? Will they be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls in 2 decades?
Oh, man, I'm so bad. I went with the 1-point loss back-to-back weeks against Buffalo and then Baltimore. I'm not making that same mistake. The Chiefs are going to win 27-21, and I can't really explain the gut feeling, but it seems like a game that might be just a little bit more expanded than that 6-point win. I don't know if that means a late field goal or something like that, but the Chiefs are going to be mostly in control. It's not going to take a 10-point comeback like it did last time. There's not going to be this crazy high-scoring combination on either side. I think it'll be a relatively normal game, which I know is saying a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs, but for whatever reason, I'm suddenly fairly confident that they're going to be able to get it done.
You're not the only one, Jordan. I have to tell you, as we've gotten people in on the show this last week and a half and asked for predictions, a lot of people are kind of leaning toward the Chiefs controlling this game, maybe winning by more than one score, which would obviously be a departure from what it was last year for the Chiefs. But I'm curious as to what is giving you that gut feeling like this might be a game. What is the biggest reason that you feel like this is a game the Chiefs could control?
Yeah, I think it's just what everybody has said so far in the playoffs. Like, yeah, especially heading into that Baltimore game, they were clearly a better team on paper, and they were clearly a better team during the regular season. And everyone said, okay, yes, this team is better than the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs can be better that day. It's kind of that scenario. Like San Fran, absolutely loaded roster. Their offense has so much talent, but the Chiefs defense has passed every single test that people have proposed to it this year. The offense, for the most part, has passed tests when they matter the most in the playoffs. So I've doubted the Chiefs pretty much all postseason and said that they can't fool me, and they have. And it turns out that I've kind of been the fool. I don't want to be the guy that picks against them. So I do think that the matchups, especially with how, I don't want to say basic, but bare bones almost, the Chiefs offense has operated lately against a defense that doesn't change things up very often. I just think they're going to be able to get that job done and come back home with another ring.
Jordan Foote covers the Kansas City Chiefs for Sports Illustrated's Arrowhead Report. He can also be found on Twitter, where his handle is @FooteNoted. That's FOOTE noted. And he joins us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Jordan, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for stopping by, and enjoy the game on Sunday. Hopefully it goes well, and we get to talk to you soon right afterward.
You too. Thanks a lot, guys.
That is Jordan Foote from Arrowhead Report and Sports Illustrated. Again, @FooteNoted on Twitter. Awesome stuff, as always, from our pal Jordan Foote. Don't forget that coming up on Thursday, we'll be live from Prairie Band Sportsbook at Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta. We'll be there for the full duration of 580 Sports Talk. So come on up. It's just 20 minutes north of town, north of the capital city anyway. Come hang out with us, place a few bets, talk some sports with us. We'll be with you all day long on Thursday from Prairie Band Sportsbook. Really excited to see all of you guys and all the fine folks at Prairie Band up there coming up a little bit later on this week. In the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, we'll talk to Michael Swain. We've got What Is Wrong With You, and we will hear from Bobby Witt's press conference today. That's all coming up after the news right here on 580 Sports Talk. now. 580 Sports Talk going up on a Tuesday. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, and Spencer Dupuis all here with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Busy day here on 580 Sports Talk. We've already heard from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. We were chatting with Jordan Foote last hour. Michael Swain is going to join us later on this hour. We're out of here early today because we've got high school hoops from the United Kansas Conference. Big games coming up tonight. And we're going to hear from Bobby Witt in just a few moments as well. So a lot going on today on 580 Sports Talk. If you have missed any of the show, go check out the podcast page on our website, 580wibw.com. Or you can go check out the YouTube. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can find us. Just go to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. You can go back and rewind any of the show from today. You can watch it live. You can go back in time, go check something out real quick, and then come back live. So many different things you can do with the live stream. And as we have told you throughout the show today, if you are watching on YouTube or you would like to check out the YouTube stream, you will see that we have brand new cameras in studio. We have changed the look. You no longer have to look directly into my eyeballs or up Dan's nose or like straight into Spencer's soul from the cameras on our computers.
Or make me look shorter than everybody else because of the way I had to position the camera.
True.
Because
That's true.
It was an angle.
It was always tough to get a great camera angle in the control room, but now you have one that
it's still not 100%.
We're gonna get a little creative with that one. I think there was some chatter.
Oh yeah, we were talking about
Yeah.
some earlier as well, but we're just making do with what we got right now.
Yeah, we'll continue adapting and adjusting. Steven on the YouTube comments, appreciate Steven hanging out with us today, along with all you guys who are listening and watching. Says the new camera angles look good, very professional. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and a shout also from the 785 on the text line. Nice clean look with the new cameras. I like that I can see most of the board.
Yes.
So yeah, we got some people that like the angle that you're giving them. Text line open, by the way, 785-272-9429. If you want to hit us up on the text line, texts are wide open for you to interact with the show.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for listening along, watching along for the show today.
Hey, Brendan.
Yeah.
Every week since I've got here until this week. So what is that? I guess
this is what, week 4?
This is
Week
this
3?
is the start of week 4 today.
Okay.
The prior 3 weeks you started the Tuesday show with going up on a Tuesday, and I don't think you did that today.
I think did I not?
I think you did.
I thought I did today.
Maybe I'm
I don't
wrong.
know. Maybe we'll have to rewind. We'll have to go to the videotape.
I try to at least at the top of the show, and then I mix it in a little bit over the next few hours. See, I feel like I can do that because the actual intro into the hour is the same. We were just joking the other day about when I tried to change how, because I do the hey now thing, because I took that from my college radio days when a buddy of mine did that, and I did it as a nod to him. And then I tried to mix it up one day. I was like, what's going on? And it was garbage.
No,
It sucks. It was so bad. And we'll never do it again. But the going up on a Tuesday, we've got the song in the system somewhere.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, we'll have to
dig around. Fulton had it in there.
Yeah, dig through that. But
maybe you did. I was wrong. I just went back and watched. It just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I was too distracted by this new camera setup.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, everything is new. Everything old is new again today. We continue to innovate in the space.
Maybe you're. I can't even get it out. Maybe you're thinking about getting another Mr. Beast burger. That's why I can't stop thinking about it, man. That is so funny. Clayton on YouTube
I guess
said
I'm
earlier,
never gonna live that down.
Oh no, I'll tell you that right now. No, man. That's the beauty of this show and about working with the same people for a long, like Dan and I have worked together for the better part of 6+ years now.
Oh gosh, more than that. We're close to, off and on. But
yeah, off and on. Yeah. And then, we worked with Jake for a long time, and there's stuff from 2017, 18 that still comes up constantly. So yeah, no, it'll never go away. Never. No. It's this is getting real terminally online here, but it's the Grink tweet now.
Right.
Like one time you accidentally spelled the Grinch wrong. You called it the Grink, and now your friends bring it up all the time. That was the Grink there. Yeah, no, that's what this is.
So yeah, get ready. Just next time you bring like fast food into the office, I'm going to say, what did they not line too long at the Mr. Beast burger?
Oh man. It's just so like it's the kind of thing that like if I saw it, Here's an admission for you. I've never DoorDashed before. Like, I don't have the app. I've never ordered like from DoorDash.
I've done it only a couple times when I have to, and Friday was the time where I kind of had to.
No, I get that. But like, if I'm scrolling through and I'm like, oh, I could get pizza, I could get Mexican. If I see Mr. Beast Burger, I'd be like, no, this is an ad. This is spam. Like, China is in my phone. Like, I'm out.
I didn't know it was real. I thought it was only a thing in like LA. I thought they had like one thing in LA they did or something.
Like, I understand the compulsion. I am ordering out. I want to order a place that's close. So I'm going to order from the closest place. But Spencer, like, have you seen Wanamaker? Like, they got everything there. Like, there's like 500 feet away, there's a Five Guys. You could have had that. Instead, no, you were like, do I want Chandler style or do I want Fred style or whatever the hell it was?
Oh, man, that's too funny. Well, okay. The reason it's funny, and I don't, this sounds mean. Like, the reason it's funny is because it sucked. Like, if you were like, no, this is the best burger I ever had, it'd be like, oh, well, man, I got to hit up Mr. Beast.
I'm never eating another burger that isn't Chandler style ever again. I'd be like, all right, well, I got to go see what this is hitting on.
Oh, man. That is too funny.
You're making my burger next to Guac Live at the On the Border.
Oh, God. All right, let's get to Bobby Witt, shall we? Bobby Witt Jr., the highest paid Royal in history, signed his new contract this week, 11 guaranteed years. He's going to be with the Royals for at least 7 of them. He's making more money than any of us could ever dream of combined. He spoke along with Royals brass today. Let's hear what Bobby Witt Jr. had to say as he was introduced into his new contract era by the Kansas City Royals.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to get this turned over to Bobby and JJ, but just a couple comments. First of all, this is a huge day in Kansas City, and there's a lot going on in Kansas City this week. So to get people's attention on something like this is a big deal. But this is a big day for our fans, for our city, for our club, and certainly for Bobby. I know this was Bobby's decision, but he had really good and smart people working for him, and I think that's an important part of this process. There's a lot of things in this game that are about process, and certainly we had a process in this deal. But at the end of the day, we all have valuation metrics and analytics, but these deals are about people, and these deals are made by people. So I appreciate, the communication. JJ and I asked for a meeting with Bobby Sr. and Bobby Jr. I think it was in September, and we expressed really 3 things at that meeting. Number 1 is that we wanted to make a proposal to Bobby to keep him here for a long time. Number 2, we wanted to understand what was important to him and his team. And we wanted to make sure he knew that we were committed to putting a winning team on the field around him. And then that process took a while, right? We made our first offer at the winter meetings. There were a number of counters, but anyway, it culminated, I guess, over the weekend, maybe not finally until you got your physical. And I was a little nervous this morning when he put the pen in his hand. Are you going to sign it? I thought it was pretty well cooked by then.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Sherman and all the ownership, just believing in me and just for what's to come, and then to JJ and all the front office, and then just Kansas City Royals organization as a whole, from coaches, teammates, to everyone who's been with me through this ride and for the ride to come. And then also to my family. I wouldn't be here without them. And it's just great for my parents, mom, dad, my 3 older sisters, my brother-in-laws, and Maggie. It's just a blessing to be in this situation here. And then to the fans of Kansas City, I'm just honored to be able to play here and call this place my home.
You're always so even keeled. I'm curious what the emotions are like right now, 1 and 2, what it means to make this your home.
It's unbelievable. It's like I said, it's truly just an honor, a blessing. I've never really have had tears of joy, maybe like 3 or 4 times, all of my sister's weddings, when I got drafted and out today. And so it's pretty special. This feeling's amazing. And so, yeah.
When did you know that you wanted to be a Royal for a good chunk of your career, if not all of it?
I think it started almost even before the draft. Just going back to what JJ was speaking about, Lonnie, and just the people who were covering the draft, I think we played, I don't know, around 40 games, and there's a Royal scout at every single game, most practices, and just seeing the blue up there in the stands, it was just it felt like that it was right. And then so got drafted here, and then just being in the city, being around the people, the fans, it just felt like home just from day one. And so I'm just honored to be able to be here and try to help the team as much as I can.
Bobby, what made the time now to sign the extension? I know you've been at some time to maybe push the number a little bit, so why now?
I just think now is just the perfect time. Just not only like sounds bad, but had a bad year last year, but then now just trying to build off that. Just what can we do to keep performing? And you saw all the moves that they made this offseason. It's just a sign of hope. And so it just felt like this is the right time, and it's an exciting time for sure.
Bobby, what were some of the things you heard from the club that were reassuring to you that made the long-term deal easy and exciting for you?
Yeah, it's just kind of like I just said, just what the moves they made this past offseason just shows you that they want to win now, and it's a time to win now. And so just being able to kind of do that, talk with them, and just hear what their focuses are, and just trying to get back to winning baseball.
John, if I could ask you, what message do you hope this sends to the fans, and really about this signing, but also the overall aggressive offseason that you guys have had?
The message to the fans? Well, I hope, I think anybody that knows us, we've been committed to winning for a long time, right? There's not a straight line between point A and point B, but I think at the end of the day, it's not, it can't just be what you say, it has to be what you do. And so I would hope that people would take from this and this off season that JJ and his team have engineered are indicative of our commitment to winning, and we want to do something special for the fans of Kansas City.
John, when you said you came to the table in September with a new proposal and you outlined those 3 areas, what kind of led you to wanting to come back in September and make sure we can get this done?
What made us come back?
To the table in September and wanting to get the job done now.
Well, we wanted to make sure in September, we wanted to make sure that Bobby and his team understood our intentions, right? And then really turn the process over to JJ and his team, and Scott Pacino and Bobby and the Octagon team. And then there was just a whole series of communications that like in any negotiation, right? But the thing again that was great about it, it was there were certainly some times when there was a gap, but the parties kept talking and got creative. We talked about the structure of this deal. There's just a lot of things that help. So certainly we wanted to get this done certainly before the season began, ideally before spring training, and really felt like this was the year to do it too. Bobby's a year away from his arbitration years, and felt like he's certainly proven himself as a player. But more importantly, maybe even is the way he talks about the team and the team commitment. And really in this game, you got to find players that are team first. It's also really, really hard to draft and develop generational talent in this business. It's even harder to keep them in the same uniform. And that's really what this is about. It's going to do a lot for our team.
John, there's a perception that smaller market teams not just have difficulty keeping players of Bobby's caliber around, but signing them long term and giving them that money. Why financially do you think you were able to do this, and does it suggest that other teams of the same market size would be able to do the same thing?
I don't want to speak for the other ones, but I can tell you, in this particular case, we just feel really good about the player and really good about the structure. And look, we understand the value of a player like this. The structure was certainly important, but this is, and also I think as a small market team, we'll never use that as an excuse. There may be some things in baseball that could be improved over the long haul from a competitive balance and parity standpoint, but all I know is what we can do here, and we want to do something special for Kansas City, for our fans, and we've been thinking about this deal. I really am serious. I was dreaming about it a little bit in spring training one day when, I think he was about 19 years old, right? And you can see the promise and the hope, but now we've seen it at the major league level, and we all know how hard that is to make that transition to we see all kinds of really talented players that struggle. But Bobby keeps working. His work ethic is kind of off the charts. Every once in a while, I'll go out to my suite on a game day at 3:30 in the afternoon, and a lot of times he's in the cage doing extra work, right? And so all of that, and not just his own individual performance, but how he will elevate all of us and the rest of the team by being here. So that's kind of all. It's really about the Kansas City Royals. I'm not sure I'm going to get a standing ovation when I go to Orlando today for the owners' meetings, but there'll certainly be respect.
Just for everyone up there, lots of first round draft picks, come through the system, but don't pan out. Just what were the things that allowed Bobby to flourish in his draft pick, and how happy are y'all that this is just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, I think clearly Bobby's background, being the son of a longtime major league player, makes a difference. But his work ethic, the type of person he is. You're talking about somebody that knows he's the most talented guy when he steps on the field, probably since he was 6 or 7 years old, but cares about his teammates just as much. And that's a very special quality, and that's a lot of what brings us comfort to be able to commit long term, knowing that that's what makes him special aside from just his talents on the field. But he was clearly raised exceptionally well, very respectful. Never run into a player, a coach, he's the guy everybody enjoys being around. And I think it's when you think about long term, some of the things it can do for us, players are going to want to come play with Bobby Witt Jr. And that's immeasurable right now. But in our conversations with free agents this offseason, there was one question everyone asked, and tell me about Bobby Witt Jr. So that's going to continue. But special person, special talent, and a lot of comfort in committing to somebody like this.
You had that for Bobby too?
Yeah, I would just say just the support group that I've had, and just from starting from the Kansas City organization, just always believing in me, trusting in me just from day one. And so I was being able to they always wanted me to just go out there, play baseball, be Bobby, and go have fun. And so that's kind of what I've done. I've put pressure on myself, but at times where I don't need to, I just go out there and be me. And so that's where they trusted me. And then I had a great support group, not only in baseball, but at home. And so I feel like it's got me to where I'm at here today.
The structure of the deal with the opt-outs is really unique especially for a free-running player. Just as much as you could, just to kind of have to make it on that.
Yeah, well, we needed to find some common ground. There was some separation early on. We needed to find some common ground. We knew what we felt strongly like we needed to attain when this deal was all said and done, and we grew to know what was important to Bobby. There's clearly a lot of flexibility on Bobby's behalf, but we're comfortable with that because it allowed us to sign him and acquire, really get a number of years that we felt very good about. So that's where we had to work from both ends to get to that point where both parties were comfortable. And I think when it was all said and done, we're both happy with the structure, and it works for both of us extremely well.
If I could, what was important to you when you're talking about just the structure and what you wanted out of this deal?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say just to be long term, because this is where I wanted to be. And if I wanted to do something, I wanted to be here. And so that was kind of the main goal. And then just with having how it's structured and everything, just with the chance of whatever happens kind of happens, and kind of give some ball in my court at some point. But then other than that, just wanted to be here long term. And so once we were able to kind of agree upon that, it was great.
Bobby, what does it mean to you to see so many people sharing their outpouring support after you sign the deal, and also to look up and see your name on a poster saying "Our Guy, Our Team"? It's unbelievable. It's just being able, all the text messages I was getting, just seeing like breaking news, and then it was me, and so it was pretty. it was pretty special, and just all the like I said, the support from family, friends. It was pretty special being able to just see the text messages from the guys. One of them being Patrick Mahomes was pretty cool, but yeah, just from everyone, just all the support, the city, and even just kind of going around. Like we were out Fan Fest this past weekend, everyone's like, "Oh, when you get that contract done? When you get that contract? We want you here forever. We want you to be at Kansas City and forever." And so it's just pretty special just to be able to hear that, all the support and all the love from everyone.
This would be for anyone up there. How would you say that this deal represents what's next for the franchise and the next steps to win the Day House?
Well, we secured a superstar in the game, so that's step number one. So we're going to have a player here in the middle of our lineup or top of the lineup, whatever it ends up being, that's here for a lot of years, and it gives us something to build around. I not to downplay anything that's happening today, but I think our front office learned that Kansas City is a destination spot for free agents. It was nice to be able to sign guys and represent what does Kansas City bring for you and your family, and what's our vision of the organization. And then when you have some pillars, there's stability there in the coming years when we have to acquire players via free agency or try to trade for players. We have somebody to build around, and that's exciting for us and gives us reason to believe that our long-term vision is possible, and that's to sustain success over many years and be competitive year in, year out.
Cool. You good? Okay. Jeff.
Bobby, what did Pat say to you in the text?
He was pretty fired up. He said, "Let's go. Can't wait to see what you do for the city and what's to come." And I just said, "Just bring another one home, and that'd be a start." And so, yeah.
JJ, when other free agents say to you, "Tell me about Bobby Witt Jr.," what's your response?
A lot of what we're saying today, pretty special person. But again, the fact that he cares about his teammates as much as he cares about his own accolades, I think says everything. But I think there's a level of awe you almost hear, and it was interesting to hear those comments and some of the questions they asked. But we see it every day. Now we respect it every day, but when somebody is a visiting player, sees it 6 times a year, it's a good reminder that we've got something that's pretty special and we need to keep this long term. But there's that feeling of, wow, he's different in a lot of different ways.
So that is John Sherman. That is Bobby Witt, with the highest paid Kansas City Royal in team history. That was pretty cool. I love that quote about, I looked up and saw breaking news and it was me. I love that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
That cool?
Really, really cool. And he's a very likable guy. I think he's a very easy guy to root for beyond just being obviously remarkably talented.
And he's exciting. He does exciting baseball stuff. He plays the most difficult defensive position on the infield and plays it like on the infield. I'm not dismissing the catchers out there. I don't want you to think I don't think that's hard. Trust me, I was a pitcher. I know those guys work hard. But no, he plays one of the most exciting defensive positions in the game and plays it exceptionally well. He's incredibly fast. So hits a bunch of triples, stole 49 bases last year, hit 30 home runs last year. He's got a throwing arm that rates as one of the best in the league. Like all the stuff that makes baseball fun and cool and exciting to watch, Bobby Witt Jr. does all that stuff. And he's going to do all that cool baseball stuff in a Royals uniform for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely awesome for the Royals. We are going to get to a break here in a moment. We've got What Is Wrong With You for today, as well as Michael Swain is going to join us. But I wanted to do a little something as well. Washburn basketball is back in town starting tomorrow. 2 weeks of long road trips. I have been away a lot because we went to Hayes and Kearney and Claremore and Tahlequah. So it has been a few weeks since Washburn basketball has been at home. The men are hunting for an NCAA tournament spot. The women have been playing really solid competitive basketball. They've got a big one, both of them do, against Missouri Western. I've got a couple pairs of tickets for Washburn basketball tomorrow night. They are yours. It is first come, first serve. First 2 callers who want them, they are yours. 785-272-9429. A couple pairs of Washburn basketball tickets to tomorrow night's doubleheader, the Washburn women and Washburn men against Missouri Western. We would love to give those away to you. So call in. We're going to send it to a timeout. We'll come on back, and we'll have What Is Wrong With You coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. A quick shout out to Sam, who won our first pair of Washburn basketball tickets for tomorrow night, Washburn versus Missouri Western. We've got another pair to give away. First come, first serve, 785-272-9429. Right now, though, it is time for What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. Our winner so far this week from yesterday, it is the 71-year-old woman who nearly killed her husband of 52 years because he had gotten a postcard from a girlfriend from 60 years ago. She bit him, battered him within an inch of his life. And this was from a girlfriend from 60 years ago.
I was talking to my wife about this story, and we both agree, like, there had to be something else happening here.
You would think.
It can't just be the one postcard set her off. Like, he had to be acting kind of shysty.
Yeah. But in other news, that woman that sent the card, maybe she's got to play now.
She might have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Might be able to swoop in 6 decades later. Our stories on What Is Wrong With You are brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. They cut the metal you need to your specifications, saving you time, money, and material. So never settle when it comes to metal with Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. I will go first today because, Dan, you went first yesterday. How about this headline for you? Lasers, meth, and aircraft don't mix in arrest of Columbus man.
They don't?
We're headed to Columbus, Indiana, where a Columbus man was arrested Saturday after a Bartholomew County Sheriff's deputy observed him aiming a laser at his patrol vehicle. Several reports were received by the sheriff's office over the last week regarding someone aiming a laser at aircraft in the area of the municipal airport. Then on Saturday night, another report came in prompting a deputy to be dispatched to the area, but he was unable to find the source of the laser. However, 20 minutes later, while driving on US 31 near the interstate, the deputy observed a green laser coming from a black passenger car aimed at his patrol car. After a traffic stop, the driver was identified as 49-year-old Christopher Clem of Columbus. Dude, this is something 15-year-olds do, not 49-year-olds. During the investigation, 2 laser devices were found, along with methamphetamine and crushed prescription painkillers. And by the way, they also found a gun.
Oh, boy.
Clem admitted to the deputy he had aimed the laser at planes flying overhead. He was sent to the county jail where he is being held on charges of pointing a laser at a public safety officer, possession of methamphetamine, possession of a controlled substance, and dealing in a controlled substance. All charges are enhanced because he had the gun. The U.S. Air Marshals and the FAA are also still investigating the incident at a federal level.
Lasers, meth, and aircraft.
Did you ever have the kid with the laser pointer in school?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yes.
Were either of you the kid with the laser pointer in school?
Definitely not, no.
No. Not me.
Every school had one, though. The kid's like, hey, I got a laser.
Yeah.
But you
I have some wild stories from school. Maybe we'll have to get into those someday.
But like, you pointed at the globe on the counter near the front of the classroom, or like you pointed at the teacher, not an airplane or a cop.
Yeah, pretty heavy duty laser.
Yeah, no kidding. Also, maybe don't have meth on you while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Or a gun, right?
Or a gun.
Or a gun.
Any of the 3. All right, Dan, what do you got?
Okay, so I had Audible and changed links. The good folks at M Live put it behind a paywall, and I liked their version of the story a lot better. But the story is still good. Somebody stole a horse and buggy from an Amish family outside of Walmart. So police were called to a Walmart.
Grand Theft Lancaster.
Police were called to a Walmart in Sturgis, Michigan, which is about 93 miles outside Lansing, last Saturday, 5:30 p.m. The victims, an Amish family, told police they were shopping inside of the store and found their horse and buggy stolen upon return. Thankfully, a truck driver who was parked in the parking lot witnessed the theft and was able to give a description of the alleged perpetrator to police. A truck driver had seen a female steal the buggy, read a news release. He gave police a description of the female suspect. A 31-year-old woman was arrested at a local motel in connection with the stolen horse and buggy. Now, the story I'm looking at doesn't have the details. M Live had the details. She was hiding under a pile of clothes. The detective in the news release said, I have known people to sometimes hide under piles of clothes. When I saw the pile of clothes, I became suspicious and found the woman hiding underneath the clothes. The woman is being charged with larceny and larceny of livestock. The family were eventually reunited with their buggy and their horse, which had been discovered unoccupied at the hotel. The horse was not injured. Sergeant Aaron Moore with the Sturgis Police Department told The Guardian, quote, I don't know why she did it. And also said, quote, I've never had an Amish horse and buggy stolen in my 20 years as a police officer.
Oh, man.
As
I think
getaway vehicles go, I feel like a horse and buggy probably not the most expeditious.
probably not.
Yeah.
I'm going with this one today. I think this is really funny. The other one is too, but he was on meth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
would
don't
agree
believe
with you.
this woman was. Also,
think
he
it's
stole
unanimous.
horses.
Yeah.
A horse and buggy. What do you do? Like you hotwire a stolen car, right? When you get in and just go like, yeah, and then it takes off. Like, is that the horse is like, hey man, I'm just following orders.
Yeah, right. A horse doesn't know.
Don't get mad at me.
Oh man,
Hey,
that's funny.
Tell me to go, I go.
All right, that gets my vote today.
Yeah, that gets my vote today too.
All right, so does that beat our septuagenarian domestic violence issue here?
Man, it's closer than I thought.
Yeah.
Just the idea of hopping into an unoccupied horse and buggy and
Yeah.
then hiding from the police under a pile of clothes at a hotel.
I think today's winner wins for me.
What you got?
I think we're going to advance the buggy.
All
Yes,
right.
the buggy theft.
We'll do it. I think I would have leaned the other one, but I will be happily outruled that time. Our horse and buggy thief. That is a very funny name. The horse and buggy thief is our winner today.
Vance has it. GTA Grand Theft Amish.
Grand Theft Amish.
Vance has
There
it
you
in
go.
YouTube.
That is tremendous. Grand Theft Amish. It is our winner today. And what is wrong with you? Brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. Metal cut to order when you need it. Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard. Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain is next on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is Michael Swain from fog.net and 24/7 Sports. You can find him on Twitter at mswain247, and of course, all of his great work covering KU at fog.net. Michael, what the hell was that last night?
Yeah, I think that was the Big 12 in a nutshell. It's just hard to win on the road, and I think you look top to bottom in the conference, right? A team like Houston has been one of the best teams in the country, and they have struggled on the road, and I think you saw that for KU, where it's some of the things that have surfaced in some of these road losses for KU. You think about some of the poor rebounding at the end of the game. You think about the poor execution on some offensive sets late in the game, and I just think KU missed shots. I think it's probably a cliche, right? It's a make or miss league in the NBA, but it probably applies to college basketball too. You know, how many times in the second half did KU have a shot kind of rim out? You know, you can't account for those things. And maybe on a different day, those shots go in and KU wins. But I think you got to give credit to K-State, right? They played really well. I thought Tyler Perry was awesome. Cam Carter was really good as well. And I think for KU, it was kind of the ultimate letdown spot, right? You think about KU beating Houston, one of its best performances of the season. And then basically a day later, they got to travel to Manhattan. And then the day after that, they got to play in one of the more hostile game atmospheres that KU is going to play in all year. So I think you put that all together as kind of a recipe for a letdown spot, and that's what happened.
A couple of individuals who I think it's worth touching on. The first one is Johnny Furphy, who has been awesome. And I want to preface this by saying neither of the guys I'm about to bring up are the reasons alone why KU ended up losing this game. But it obviously hurt for KU that Johnny Furphy gave you next to nothing on really both ends, but especially offensively where you rely on him a bit more. And he was shut down for the vast majority of the game. Was that simply sometimes that happens to freshmen because they are younger, they're inexperienced, and clearly K-State wanted to take him out? Or was it something else at play, you thought?
Well, I think he's one of the more important players for KU, honestly, because of the three-point shooting he offers. And I think you saw his immaturity at times with some of the fouls he committed, especially, I think, in the second half. There were a few times where you could see him look back at Bill Self and, like, kind of shrug like, oh, man, I can't believe I did that. You know, those are the moments that I think if Johnny does return for another season next year, those plays will be more few and far between. But this was a game for him that I think K-State scouted him really well. They really didn't let him open and get to his spots. And looked a couple times that Furphy was open. He missed the shots. And that's going to happen with the freshman playing on the rim. So it's not something that's super concerning. I just think over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot of teams really hone in on Furphy because he does unlock so much for KU just in terms of the floor spacing aspect of things.
As for Kevin McCullough, and he has been so good, and I know he's banged up and was scoring at an inefficient clip for a while, but he was so good against Houston this weekend. He was uncharacteristically bad last night. And again, that's not a criticism of his whole season. It was a bad night, careless turnovers. The one where he stepped out of bounds. I mean, that's a very, non-Kevin McCullough kind of play. Did not shoot the ball well. He's 83% free throw shooter. He goes 1 for 5 at the line and misses a big front end. I mean, it's just not the kind of thing you plan for. Did it look like it was, again, just an off night, or was that maybe some more, lingering downsides of that knee injury he had been dealing with?
I think it's a mixture of everything, right? He is someone that traditionally, you look at last season, right? And he had that slump in the middle of Big 12 play, shooting the basketball. And then towards the end of the season, he found his stroke again. And take the Houston game out of it, and he has struggled to score the ball efficiently over the kind of last 2 weeks. Maybe that's a result of that knee injury. And I think just to some degree, it's kind of a reversion to the mean of who he's been in his college career. I think for him, there may have been, at least from my perspective, right? I think wanting to make the big plays to win the game yesterday and maybe forcing things a little too much. And Kevin is not someone that can go get his own shot, right? He needs a ball screen. It needs to attack a closeout. He needs other things to happen for him to go get his shot. And when he does try and create his own shot off the bounce, like it's just not as efficient as the other ways he can attack and score. So I look at that Houston game and say, that is the type of performance KU needs from McCullough, where it isn't chugging shots to try and make back a 5-point deficit in one possession. It's playing within the offense and getting those open looks when they come, because he can get open looks. And I think to some degree too, if you look at the 3-point numbers, right? I think he was 1 for 5 last night from 3. It wouldn't shock me if against Baylor on Saturday, right? If he goes, 2 for 5, or 3 for 6, like it wouldn't shock me. But I just think this was an off game for a guy that is dealing with a knee injury, and I just don't think it was his night.
Talking to Michael Swain from Fog.net, covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog and for 24/7 Sports. That's where you can check out all of Michael's great work covering KU. And, of course, all of his great work as well can be linked to and found via his Twitter at mswain247. We all know it's hard to win on the road in the Big 12. I mean, we heard the long, not quite rant, but the diatribe from Kelvin Sampson this weekend. And obviously KU went through it last night with the loss to K-State. So it's obviously easier said than done to say, well, just win on the road, just win those games. But what will it take for this KU team in hostile environments? Because we know when KU goes on the road, it's always one of the biggest home games of the year for everybody else. What is it going to take to win at least a couple of these road games down the stretch? Because if KU has, any desire to win the league this year, it's got to at least win a couple of them.
Yeah, totally. And I think some of it is attention to detail. Like, I don't think this is one of Bill Self's maybe better executing teams. I think you saw that with some sets that KU ran last night. Self got visibly upset a few times, and I think they even happened on the defensive end too, more times than I could count, where he got frustrated with guys not making the correct read defensively. And those are things that you have to fix, right? When you think about how good that 2019-20 team was and how dominant they were, what made them so great was that they're a great executing team, right? And Bill Self is a great coach. So when you're able to execute what the head coach wants, right, you're going to have a lot of success. And I just don't know if this KU team is at that point. And that is a point of concern for road games, because you do need to go in and execute and know the scouting report, because you're right. KU plays the, I don't want to say Super Bowl, but like it's one of the biggest home games on anyone's calendar, right, is when Kansas comes to town. So the crowd's always going to be up for it. The team is always going to be up for it. And what KU has to do is execute, because Kansas is a more talented team than a good chunk of the Big 12, right? There are a few teams that are up there with Kansas in terms of talent. And so it comes down to executing. I just don't think Kansas has done a very good job of that in these road losses.
And Michael, it seems like Bill Self is very aware of where his team is at currently, not necessarily in the standings, but where they are when it comes to not being the complete team that he wants to be. Obviously, a big matchup this Saturday against Baylor at home. Then they go on the road for a few against one team, Texas Tech, that's in the top 25. What is your take on kind of the outlook for the rest of the season after, a tough loss last night?
Yeah, well, so KU's 6-4, and I think realistically 5 losses should probably get you the conference solo, right, by yourself. And I think 6 losses could share it. So you're looking at KU having 2 games to work with, and the issue is you look at the schedule, and the last 2 road games KU plays are at Baylor and at Houston. That's not easy. So you think maybe, okay, KU splits that, and they have 1 game to work with between the road games, at Texas Tech, which is going to be a big Monday. That's going to be tough. And then at Oklahoma. So this team still has some wiggle room, right? It's just the broader concern about the lack of consistency for KU between playing at home and playing on the road. So I think this stretch coming up before KU gets the week off after that Oklahoma game, I think this is a really important stretch to kind of right the ship and get some momentum going in that off week.
Couple more questions for Michael Swain of Fog.net joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. What do you do with Elmarco Jackson at this point? Because he needs to play, and the athleticism is there. We've talked about this a bunch over the course of the season, Michael. Like you see the vision with why he can be an important piece, why KU wants him to be an important piece of this team. I mean, are we just at a point where we're deep enough into the year that this is what he is for his freshman season? Or do you think there is still a little bit more KU can do to try to get a little bit more out of him?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think this is probably who he is, because some of the same mistakes he was making in early January and December are still some of the mistakes he makes when he's on the floor this time. You look at the jump shot he took right in the second half, like, I don't know what he was thinking. This isn't the type of game where, hey, Marco, yeah, go shoot a pull-up jumper. That's a tough 2. Like, that's not his role. And so I'm interested to see how he can mentally embrace the things that he has to do to see the court. Because I think sometimes, right, you see those moments, those flashes, but then there's the head-scratching moment that gets him yanked. And I think getting rid of those moments could go a long way in helping him endear himself to Bill Self a little bit more, so maybe he can have a bigger role. But I think for right now, I think this is probably what KU's going to get out of Marco this year.
How do you feel? What do you think, Michael, about the way that Bill Self has approached some of his public comments over the last couple of games, last couple of losses specifically? Because normally you'd see, he's not exactly Mr. Piss and Vinegar these days, but not always anyway. There are certainly still those moments, but it's not, after every loss he's freaking out, yelling at reporters or anything. But it's been a lot of, hey, look, you can get beaten by anybody. We're still content with our team. It's been a little bit more mellow than I think I at least would have expected. Is that a reflection of confidence? Is that a reflection, do you think, of just how this specific group of guys responds? Or am I just reading too far into it?
I think it's a few things. I think that second ring on his finger helps a lot. Right? You don't have to. You don't have to be as, high intensity after losses when you have achieved, the top of the mountain twice. And I think that is a part of it. I think generally, the health scare that he had last year has made him more mellow generally. And I think for this team in particular, I think he's very realistic. I think he knows this conference is crazy hard, and expecting a crazy run like KU had in 2019-20 is just not realistic. And I think being realistic with this team is probably the best way to go, because putting the expectations of this squad going on and winning a national title, I just don't know about that. But I think you can expect Kansas to compete for the Big 12 down the stretch. And I think if Kansas stops doing that, if there are more road losses, I think you might see some more frustration. But I think generally, Self's a realist, and I think he understands what this team's strengths are and the limitations.
Michael Swain, our guest here of Fog.net 24/7 Sports for Jayhawk Weekly on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And during our show on Friday, I think it was Friday, we saw scrolling through Twitter that Kansas football is set to hire DK McDonald as the new co-defensive coordinator. I saw you had some initial thoughts on that on Twitter as well. What are your thoughts on the hiring of DK McDonald?
I think it's really good. He comes with a lot of experience, and look, he fits the background for what Lance Leipold wants his KU coaching staff to be, right? He's a guy that has worked his way up, right? He was at Toledo with Matt Campbell and then was brought over to Iowa State and then went to the NFL and is now going to go back to college. So he's got experience in the Big 12. I think that's a huge thing, understanding the conference, understanding the other offenses that are in this league. So I think from a fit, it's perfect. I think from a rapport standpoint, it's pretty great that he can go in and talk to Kobe and Mello and say, hey guys, you guys want to go to the league? Well, look where I just came from, right? I just worked with Darius Slay, one of the best cornerbacks probably of his generation. He's got some pelts on the wall that he can say he's coached and he knows what it takes. So I think that's huge. And then for recruiting, we'll kind of see where he ends up settling. Obviously, Jordan Peterson did a great job with Arizona. I don't know if DK McDonald will go to Arizona for his recruiting. I know he did some stuff in St. Louis and Michigan and just kind of the broader Midwest. So I think overall it's a really, really good hire, and it certainly fits what Lance Leipold has on his coaching staff.
All right, Michael, back to basketball. Final thing we've got for you. Baylor this weekend comes to Allen Fieldhouse. Who's going to win? Is KU going to be able to hold home court against a not as good as they've been in previous years, but still very good Baylor team?
I think so. This screams Bill Self lays into guys at practice on Thursday when they get back and Friday, and they'll come out ready to go on Saturday evening. So I've got KU winning. Obviously we'll have to see what the spread is for this game, but I think it's a game Kansas should be winning.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, which is part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Go be a VIP over there for all the best insight and insider info into what's going on with the KU programs. You can find him on Twitter as well, at mswain24/7, and he joins us every Tuesday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Michael, we appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the game coming up on Saturday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Sounds great, guys. Talk to you later.
That's Michael Swain from Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. That'll do it for the 4 o'clock hour of the show. Don't forget that Thursday, so 2 days from now, we will be live from Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta for the entire duration of 580 Sports Talk. We will be live from the book at Prairie Band Casino. We can't wait to see you guys there, see all of our friends up at Prairie Band there as well. And don't forget, we've got one more pair of Washburn basketball tickets for tomorrow. 2 seats. First caller, 785-272-9429. Those tickets are yours for tomorrow. Call in, let us know, go support the Ichabod. Should be a really fun environment as they finally return home tomorrow. We're done early today, so headlines are coming up after the news. Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski and Spencer Dupuis here with you. We're done earlier today for high school hoops. Lewis Toyota Tuesday night hoops, in fact, coming up around 5:30. Just about midway through the JV game right now, maybe just beyond the midway point of the JV game. So we'll get it out to Dan Lucero and the coach, Larry Latimer, as soon as we can for Lewis Toyota Tuesday night hoops. Tonight, United Kansas Conference action. It will be Topeka West and Shawnee Heights going head-to-head. So that'll be a whole lot of fun coming up this evening from the Charger Dome at Topeka West High School. So that is what you have to look forward to coming up tonight right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Before we get to high school hoops tonight, though, we do have our 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to. Any other texts or YouTube comments as well, you are welcome to send in. Text line number 785-272-9429, or you can hit us up on YouTube, where the name of our stream is 580 Sports Talk, just like the name of the program. Head to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk, and you can go see the new cameras we've got in studio. New views for everybody. It's the full studio view now. You sort of get a little more view of how radio is made in here, so to speak, as opposed to just looking directly into my face, Spencer's face, and Dan's face. Right now, we have new graphics for the stream and everything, although I forgot to make one of the graphics we needed. So currently it just says Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis. I am not Dan. That is Spencer across from me. That's on the docket for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That will get fixed for tomorrow's show. But no, we appreciate everyone who's had some kind things to say about the new look in studio. It's cool. It's a much professional look. Little, get to see everything. I feel like I'm in some sort of like space command center here because I never really feel it when I just sit down here because I've sat here for forever. But there's the TV monitor over here, 2 computer screens, got all these microphones. The desk is kind of horseshoe shaped. Like I feel as though I'm in some sort of role that is much more important.
We just
than the
need to
one I
get you
have.
like 5 more monitors.
Yeah, I need another one over here. And then, I don't know. See, if I put one over here, though, then it would always be on camera. Over here, by the way, for those of you who are listening on radio, that's to my left. To my right, I've got a monitor. To my front, I've got a monitor. To the left, I just have an open chair. The last person to sit there, I think, was Pistol when he came in for Jake's last show. Generally, that chair is wide open. That's where I used to sit. Back in the day when it was Dan, Jake, and I used to be over here to the left. Jake always sat here, and then Dan sat to my right over there. That was a long time ago. It's been a long time since there was the 3 of us in the studio.
Who ran the board? Did you have a board op?
Oh, we did. For a while, it was Britt. Britt ran the board for a couple of years. Then it was our pal Marco. Shout out to Marco Marquez. Just left the radio game. Shout out to Marco. We'd been in Kansas City for a bit. Marco ran the board for us, and I ran the board for a while. We did, both of us. Then COVID hit, and I always ran the board. And then when it was just Jake and I for a year and a half, I ran the board. But yeah, the last time I ran the board full time, I think would have been 2021 when we hired Fulton, and had him board up, and then he joined us as a full-time host. So yeah, there's a little quick, history of the last 6.5 years of 580 Sports Talk for you and where everyone sat in the studio.
In the matter of like 25 seconds.
Yeah. Hey, that's all our attention spans can really pick up on.
Yeah.
Also, once I start trying to think of something for more than about 30 seconds, I just start to lose it and I get lost and distracted. I very much have like undiagnosed something that I could really use some help focusing. We do appreciate you guys who are listening in today, though, on 580 AM, 104.9 FM, online at 580WIBW.com, and of course on the YouTube stream. Want to make sure we remind you, I know we've hit on a bunch today, but it's because we're so excited about it. We know they're excited to have us up there. And we're excited to see you out there as well at Prairie Band Sportsbook coming up on Thursday. America East Thursday, folks. We're talking Super Bowl. We're talking America East hoops. And we'll talk some other college basketball as well. Of course, with CJ Moore on Thursday. Rick Peterson will join us. Mitch Holthus will join us as we get ready for the Super Bowl. Should be a whole lot of fun coming up on Thursday's show.
Hopefully Mitch has carved out some time for us and we don't get confused about that.
Yeah, we'll get it all set up.
Yeah, make sure we're not confused on that note.
No, we will make sure the Mitch man is on the air. Mitchie the Kid coming up on Thursday. All right, enough with the chit chat. Let's get to the headlines. 580 Sports Talk headlines for this Tuesday, February 6th. First one I've got for you today. A lot of national stuff, not a whole lot of extra local stuff for us today. Why don't we go with this? Because it's a story we had talked about a ton during this past baseball season. The mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, is not the most keen politician or Las Vegas, Henderson County resident on adding a baseball team to the area. This is the writing of Field Level Media, who writes today that Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman is not exactly extending a warm embrace to the Oakland Athletics, who plan to build a $1.5 billion stadium in her city. In fact, Goodman said the team's stadium plan, quote, does not make sense, and that A's ownership should go back to the drawing board and pitch a new plan in the Bay Area. Quote, I personally think the A's have got to figure out a way to stay in Oakland to make their dream come true. That's what she said to the Front Office Sports Today podcast. She later went on social media to add context to her comments and said she was excited about the prospect of Major League Baseball in the city, but didn't back off her statement that Oakland and the A's should try to make their relationship work in a perfect world. She then added, should that fail, Vegas has shown it is a spectacular market for Major League sports franchises.
I was going to say, you're moving a franchise. Usually it's not very positive, but a team that is like the Athletics that just hasn't been relevant at all. I just think she doesn't want a team to come to the town and just stink it up, and they build the stadium and no one goes to it because it's a baseball stadium. You're going to have 81 games a season. Like you have that for hockey, but it's inside a lot less capacity.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make...
Like you're never going to sell out, I don't think.
No, I think initially you will.
But like your day games on a Wednesday are going to be worse than any other market.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me you don't want to go sit at a baseball stadium in July in Las Vegas in the middle of the day? And I'm sure it'll be domed. I would imagine it'll be domed because it'll be so freaking hot.
Yeah.
But like, here's the problem with Vegas teams, and they're going to keep putting them in. And the Golden Knights are different because hockey, while it is one of the big four American sports, it is more niche, however you want to pronounce it. It is more niche than baseball or basketball or football. And it's got a little bit more of a grassroots fan base. And it was the first one. And it was very much Vegas's own. It was expansion. It was, this is our thing. It's the first one that is all ours. The Raiders are a tourist trap.
But too, I think with the Golden Knights, they had such success in their first season.
And that's another point. Yeah, they won right away. Whereas the Raiders are not good, and you pulled them away from a rabid fan base that already existed in the Bay. Well, really all of California. And now their stadium is no more than or no less than 60% full of opposing fans every home game because it's, hey, let's go to Vegas. That
the only
like a good
positive
time.
thing about this is what's happening this week.
With the
that
Super Bowl.
You're getting all that revenue coming in.
Sure.
You're not going to get that with MLB unless your team is successful and makes it to the World Series.
And are baseball stadiums, are baseball games the same kind of tourist destination
not at all
that a football game is?
Not at all.
No, they're really not. So and again, I know she's saying we would like to have a team here. It just doesn't need to be the A's. I get that. But this feels like an experiment that is very much just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I just don't. From a monetary perspective, it'll probably work out because I'm sure John Fisher will move the team, immediately sell it, make a ton of money. There'll be money that's pumped in, all this stuff. But in terms of competitiveness, in terms of good fan base, things like that, do we really think that's going to exist? I have a hard time seeing it. I really, really have a hard time seeing that work in Vegas.
Me as well.
What's your first headline for today?
First headline is what I went in and told you guys earlier. ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery, which is Warner Brothers and Discovery merging last year. They are basically going to upend cable television sports. Not that it wasn't before, with joint sports streaming service essentially you're going to be able to pay for, I would assume, a certain level and get every single one. It'll also be available ESPN Plus, Hulu, Max subscribers, and each company will own a third of it. So it's essentially like TV without the TV. And you're going back to the place where the reason streaming was a thing was because people didn't want every channel. So now, like, it's going to cost more money, but what if you say you're not somebody that wants to watch something on Fox, for instance? Because it's probably not going to include NFL, I don't think.
It actually is. It is going to include what. Yeah, so it is. So ESPN has actually made their full press release now with the full details of this.
So it's going to be like Sunday Ticket in a way.
In a way, yeah. At least you know,
local
it's a different way to watch your local games anyway. So yeah, it is going to include, so for Warner Brothers Discovery, Fox, ESPN, and for what it's worth, Warner Brothers Discovery, that is like Turner Sports. So you're talking the NBA on TNT, March Madness, things like NHL, things like that. So this will include the NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, college sports, UFC, PGA Tour, Grand Slam tennis, the World Cup, cycling, and everything else. So that, at least according to ESPN's press release, I haven't seen if the other companies have released them, this is going to include all of the things they have. College football playoff, men's and women's tournaments for the NCAA basketball, March Madness, tons of world cycling, not the Premier League, but the World Cup, U.S. soccer, NWSL, MLS, all of that, UFC, NASCAR, F1, all of those things. Everyone's making the same joke that, oh, we're just reinventing cable. And I guess, like, to a degree.
How much is it going to cost, though?
There's the question. Like, everyone's, oh, well, now, okay, we all got rid of cable. Now you're just reinventing cable. And I understand the joke. Like, I do. But by the same token, you know what else you got with cable? A guy who would come to your house 3 hours late, incorrectly install big, gaudy equipment, have to come back out 3 hours late next week to reinstall it. And I know this, my parents still have regular cable. They've got Xfinity, Comcast, whatever. Like, they're always late. It always takes multiple times to install the dang thing. You had contracts. You had to sometimes buy the equipment, pay rental fees for the equipment, whatever. And it would, there's all the other bloat that comes with it. And you're forced to pay for things like, I only want to watch sports. I don't want to have to pay for Lifetime. I don't want to have to pay. I don't have kids. I don't want to pay for Nickelodeon. Just these examples of it. Maybe you want to watch the NFL on Nickelodeon. Hard to say. But you understand my point. Like, I don't want that other stuff. I just want this. Even through things like Hulu plus live TV, YouTube TV, which I've told you many times, I'm a subscriber to. Like, you have to pay for all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I am curious 100% what this costs, because YouTube TV is getting pricey. Okay, I'll tell you that. It is very expensive. And like, my wife watches plenty of sports, oftentimes with me, but she's got other stuff she watches. Like, she loves her Bravo shows, and there's some other cable shows she watches and whatnot. Like, if we could find 2 subscription things, like this giant sports package and, something else, where we can get the 10 channels we watch and don't have to pay $75 a month for YouTube TV, I would probably be very happy to do this.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to the cost, because we're like, oh, no, this is actually going to be $70 in and of itself. Okay, well, fine. Throw me Discovery Channel and, like, Telemundo, too. Like, why not?
See, in this thing, it says subscribers would also have the ability to bundle products with Disney Plus, Hulu, and or Max. See, my issue is I have Hulu. I use it, I guess, a little bit more now because I don't have Netflix. But I am grandfathered into this Spotify deal that I got in college.
Yes.
To where I paid $4.99 a month and got Spotify, Hulu Plus, and I think Max or something. Or no, HBO Go, I think is what it was, or something like that, whatever. So, but then when I transition out of the college price, I'm just paying $9.99 a month for Spotify, or $10.99 now for Spotify and Hulu. So I don't want to lose that, because that's a really good deal.
Yeah, and that's one of the annoying things about all the bundling and the streaming and all that is Deals that are often too good to be true, they turn out that they are indeed too good to be true because you can't like compound them or anything like that. Because we had the same deal. My wife and I had Spotify, Hulu deals like that. We merged our Spotify accounts together to save money there, but then couldn't save money with the Hulu subscription. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, because I looked it up. If you change your subscription at all, you lose Hulu.
And this is the thing. Like if you're us, like this is very normal to us. Like streaming things, downloading things, watching on your phone, your computer, smart TV, whatever. But you don't have to be that much older than we are for this to just be a hassle and to just say, screw it, I'm keeping cable.
My parents are the same way.
Yeah, my parents have cable and it works.
Although my mom like doesn't want cable anymore. She's like, well, if I could just watch this and this and this on this streaming service and this and this on this streaming service, then why do I need it? And it costs a lot more money. Like my girlfriend just got YouTube TV and she has saved, I think, $90 a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Because her TV was like $150 a month. She's paying $75 or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is crazy. I think this is going to be a net positive. I think people are really going to like it, but it depends on the cost.
Yeah, really I want to see more how this is going to get outlined.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, if they're going to tell me, hey, this is like $40, I would be very interested in doing that. I'm not going to lie to you about that.
Yeah.
Next headline for us here on today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. Why don't we get to this? This came out yesterday, and it has made a lot of ripples, a lot of waves in the college sports world.
Yes, I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but we didn't have enough time.
So the Dartmouth men's basketball team had essentially, and I want to make sure I get all this right, but also breeze through some of the legalese here. They had essentially made a petition to say we are employees of the University of Dartmouth University, and we should be allowed to unionize. Our status as college basketball players, everything that comes with it, we are employees. We should be able to form a union. Okay, that's what they wanted to have the outcome of this be. And it had been kind of caught up in the courts for a while. And yesterday, the National Labor Rights Board actually came out and said, yes, you are employees of Dartmouth. This is part of the ruling from the NLRB, and I read it in quote. Dartmouth takes the position the petitioned for basketball players are not employees within the meaning of the act and submits that the petition should be dismissed. In addition, Dartmouth takes the position that the board should decline to assert jurisdiction over the basketball players so as not to create instability in labor relations. As set forth below, I find that because Dartmouth has the right to control the work performed by the men's varsity basketball team, and because the players perform that work in exchange for compensation, the petitioned for basketball players are employees within the meaning of the act, being, the actual law in place here. Additionally, I find that asserting jurisdiction would not create instability in labor relations. Accordingly, I shall direct an election in the petitioned for unit. That is the judge's ruling here. So essentially what this comes down to is Dartmouth, for now, and this can be appealed, but the basketball team at Dartmouth can say, we're unionizing. So we can fight for practice time. We can fight for travel times, travel accommodations, health benefits, things like that. We can petition for that because we can form a union. I don't know how long this is going to hold up for because this can be appealed. This is, I'm sure, going to go through the courts for a long time after this, maybe for years after this, going through the appeals process, because I'm sure the NCAA and Dartmouth and individual schools are going to fight this tooth and nail for as long as they possibly can. This does feel like it could be a very big deal. Matt Brown of the Extra Points newsletter, who we have had on the show a handful of times before, friend of the program, he had a post today over at Extra Points about how, hey, this might not just be men's basketball. This might not just be football. This could affect tennis teams. This could affect swim teams, things like that. I think there are a lot of things I think about this. I think there are positives that come with it, and you'll never believe this. I also think that there are some negatives that come with this. I do think that the way student athletes are treated, they are treated more like professionals and employees than they often are amateur student athletes. I also think, though, not every student wants to be an employee, because with the ability to, form a union or to have employee benefits, you know what else that comes with? Things that are not like the not fun parts about being an employee and the way you have to listen to your superiors and like if you could be fired or not, and how does that correspond with
losing a scholarship?
With losing a scholarship. You know who this is probably going to be really difficult for is international athletes.
Yeah.
Because you've got like international players right now. Johnny Furphy, great example of this. Johnny Furphy can't make NIL money. Unless it is through international means, since he is a foreign-born player, he's not a U.S. citizen, he cannot make money through the KU Mass Street Collective. He cannot have like a local ad deal with Rudy's Pizza in Lawrence. He can't do that. Now, if he's still on the team next year, and he might go to the draft the way the draft looks next season, if he sticks around next year and when KU goes to Mexico to play Houston, he can actually make NIL money that way. But otherwise, he can't make money like that because of a visa issue. And every international NCAA athlete deals with that. Employee status is even more complex than that.
Yeah.
So that's going to harm those athletes. And they're like, have you ever seen the roster for a D1 tennis team?
Yes.
or a D2 or even D3 tennis team? Tons of international players, tons of them, or golf, or any number of sports. I don't want to say I think this is a bad thing. I think there are a lot of good things that could come from this, but I don't think it's as simple as they need to be employees and that's good for everyone.
Yeah, and I think all of this right now, there's so much going on with the NCAA with all the transfer rules and everything like that. You see the other day, the SEC and the Big 12 come out with this alliance, which could basically break college sports the way that everything's looking. I think that when you look at all this, it's interesting, and that comes on the heels of Virginia. This all comes on the heels of that lawsuit. I can't find the specific lawsuit, but today a lawsuit for Virginia and I think Tennessee. Yes, so
Tennessee.
Federal judge denies temporary restraining order in Tennessee and Virginia NIL case. You compile that with the transfer issues from the court cases there, and then as I just mentioned, the Big 12 SEC alliance group, which could implode college football. So the NCAA right now and all their legal matters, I would not want to be an employee of the NCAA at the current moment.
No, I would not want that whatsoever. The NCAA, how many times have you heard us talk about this over the years? I mean, it's a dying organization. It feels like it is in the dying stages of its existence, but so much of it, and we talk about, schools versus the NCAA. The NCAA is the schools. Like that's the whole thing. It's a mess. It's ugly. And the NCAA is not going to win this long term. It might win injunctions. It might win stays. It might win certain situations. It's not winning long term, though. And I think this is another example of how amateurism as we know it is not going to survive forever. I think this is fascinating. I am a little bit surprised that they actually ruled for it. But then again, like, how often has the NCAA lost court cases or court decisions in recent years? I mean, it just takes L after L after L after L. This is a big deal. Dartmouth is private, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
They're an Ivy League, so they can't get scholarships.
Dartmouth is indeed a private school. Yeah, and that no, they do have academic scholarship, obviously. No athletic scholarships, yeah. Do you know the only other league, D1 league, that doesn't give out academic scholarship or athletic scholarships?
It's D3.
No, at the Division I level.
Oh, I do not know.
It's the Pioneer League. It's football only, but it's the Pioneer League. Yeah.
We have some breaking news here if we're going to hit the break soon.
Yeah. Hit me with
Jose
it.
Altuve is going to be an Astro for life. He agrees to a 5-year extension per John Hyman.
Wow.
The Astros put out Altuve going to be a Astro for life. No contract details yet, but MLB players getting paid this week.
Yeah, apparently so. Holy cow. All right, here's a great opportunity for this question because we do have to get to a break here before we send it off to Dan and Lat. Astros. You're a baseball fan.
Yeah.
You're a Nationals fan.
Yes.
Which, honestly, okay, so you are close to the situation because the Nats beat the Astros for your World Series.
Yeah.
Only one in history. Where do you stand on the Astros today? Like, relative to 2017 and the sign stealing scandal and the blatant cheating, but everyone was kind of doing it, but everyone hates the Astros because they were also so unlikable and were clearly trying to cover stuff up the entire time. How do you feel about the Astros today?
I don't know. I think they're an interesting team that somehow every year competes at a high level after not competing for so long.
Like, do you have any like ill will about the cheating scandal?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the Nats were able to beat him while that whole thing was going on, and there was like, hey, you can hear the can. Like, if you go back to certain broadcasts, or like there was rumblings. I remember like things were happening and it hadn't come out yet, or was whatever, it was about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
But they just seem like a team that, for the most part, can stay relevant. And after being bad for so long, like it was in 2014 where they had their first plus 500 season in 70 plus win season. Well, actually, we're talking about 2015. And since 2015, I mean, I don't count the COVID year because it's the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
They only had 60 games. They've just been able to stay relevant even after that cheating scandal. I mean, I am not a fan of them. I don't like them, but they're a team that with Altuve, they're just going to continue to be good.
Yeah, not surprised they locked him down. I mean, he's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest Astro of all time.
Astro, yes.
I would. Yeah, I mean, he's not the greatest baseball player,
Yeah.
Greatest second baseman of all time. But yeah, I would have to say he's probably number one. I mean, I'm sure of a certain generation, you would say Craig Biggio.
5-year, $125 million, according to Chandler Rome of The Athletic. New contract extension is $15 million signing bonus. It'll pay him $30 million from 25 to 27,
Wow.
$10 million each in 28, 29.
Wow. Nowhere near Bobby Witt Jr. money, though.
Yeah, nowhere near.
But very few players in baseball history have ever gotten Bobby Witt Jr. money.
Exactly.
That's going to do it for today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back on the other side of this break, we've got the final word, and then we will send you off to the Charger Dome for a little United Kansas Conference action in our Lewis Toyota Tuesday Night Hoops. That's coming up here in this 5 o'clock hour on 580 Sports Talk. Time to wrap up 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. Don't forget that if you have missed any of the show today, head to our website, 580wibw.com. That is where you can find the podcast section of our website. Just head over to the podcast tab, hover over it, click on 580 Sports Talk. That is where you can find the hour-by-hour breakdown of the show. And, of course, head over to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. You can go see today's live stream, although it won't be live in a few minutes here. The show will be over. But you can go click on today's stream, rewind to any part in the show, go watch back to the entirety of today's episode. Our first episode with our brand new cameras in studio. So we are very much looking forward to having a much different look on the video stream for 580 Sports Talk. Comment from Vance on YouTube says, when Jose Altuve gets mad, does he get short with people? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Spencer, what's your final word for today?
My final word is I'm trying to figure out how to word this because I don't want to get not canceled, but like people giving me
oh boy
ish.
Oh boy.
No matter what he did outside of the music realm, rest in peace to Toby Keith, passed away today.
Okay.
And I think
all right, I know why you prefaced it like this. All right, go ahead. Continue.
I mean, he's been so active recently. I think he knew something was up.
Sad. I mean, always loss of life is always sad. My Toby Keith story for you, because I know. So Spencer was talking to Britt earlier today, and Britt, not a country music DJ for a long time, but not normally his cup of tea.
Yeah.
Dan, obviously not a big country music guy. I'm not a huge Toby Keith fan, but I will tell you, my Toby Keith story is on my second date with my now wife. We were driving around on the outskirts of Lawrence, and I was just singing along with the radio the entire time. And one of the songs that I vividly remember singing along to was "Should Have Been a Cowboy."
Yeah.
So yeah, there's my story for you.
I just feel like every 4th of July, Toby Keith is like the voice of 4th of July with all his patriotic songs.
Sure. That's probably true. A lot of that around the 4th of July. Yeah, he had been sick for quite a while. Really unfortunate. 62 years old, I believe.
He just did a concert in Vegas like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Man, that's tough. That's very sad.
Yeah.
Cancer is the worst. It is absolutely awful. I will say, and this has nothing to do with the man, Toby Keith, the restaurant that he licensed his name out to, though, Toby Keith's I Love My Bar and Grill. My wife and I were in Oklahoma City last year for New Year's Eve because I was down there with Washburn basketball, and we were like, well, shoot, I mean, it's the holiday. We both have tomorrow off. Like, let's just go spend the night. Let's stay down there for New Year's Eve. And so we did. We went to Bricktown. We hung out. I mean, it was cool. We ended up finding a bar that was a really fun time. We watched the college football playoff games. Then we rang in the new year and then went back to the hotel. We're like, well, shoot, where are we going to go? There's tons of places around here. What'll be a fun place? We thought, you know what? We're kind of hungry. Let's go to the Toby Keith restaurant. And we'll hang out there. We'll celebrate it there. They closed at 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve in a very busy city. What the hell? Yeah. So that's the last time I thought about Toby Keith before today was then. But yes, it is a very sad day in the country music world. Final word for me for today. I think Dan said it well earlier on in the show today when we were talking about the KU K-State game, and that I don't think we really learned anything new about either KU or K-State. Like going into last night's game, Kansas State, what did we know was maybe the fatal flaw for this Wildcats team this year? Along with the offense in general, just kind of being stuck in the mud. They turned the ball over way too often. Yeah. Way too often. And they turned it over way too often last night. They won, but that doesn't mean they didn't still turn the ball over too often. And some of them were pretty bad turnovers as well. KU, what do we know about the Jayhawks? We know that they don't shoot the three, really ever, period. They don't shoot it especially well, and there's no depth at all. And what comes with that is when you have a game like Saturday, when you play your best game of the year, you knock off one of the best teams in the country, you look awesome doing it, everyone plays well, but then you have a quick turnaround. You have 2 days to turn around, play another conference game against a team that's got its backs against the wall, a team that is going to have a raucous environment behind it, especially late in the game in crunch time. What happens? It becomes harder to win those games, and your guys are totally burned out by the end of it. Kevin McCullough, by that point, had played so much basketball in a 2-day stretch. Same with DeJuan Harris. Same with Hunter Dickinson. Same with KJ Adams. Same with Johnny Furphy at that point. There's just such a small margin for error with that starting five. And you have heard me how many times in the last 3+ weeks say the starting five for KU is just right up there with the best or is the very best starting five in the entire country. There are just so many things that you need to go perfectly for that group, timing-wise, rest-wise, health-wise, all of that. Otherwise, you have to start playing guys who, well, either aren't very good or who you can't trust. And that's what happened again, pretty much to a T in that game yesterday against K-State. It's a credit to K-State that they fought, that they won. But KU, man, finish around the rim. You need like 5 good minutes off the bench. Maybe that's what it's going to take.
I think it's clear if Furphy had a great game, they would have won.
I mean, shoot, if Kevin McCullough even has an average game, they win. But that's why that margin for error, it's so razor thin. That does it for us on 580 Sports Talk today. Coming up next, we've got Lewis Toyota Tuesday Night Hoops. Don't forget, we'll join you Thursday from Prairie Band Sportsbook up in Mayetta. Tomorrow, we'll be back here in studio, the whole three-man crew to start the show off with you. Fitz will join us. We'll have Chiefs audio and a whole lot more. That's tomorrow from 2 until 6. But until then, for Dan Lucero, for Spencer Dupuis, I'm Brendan Dworzinski. This has been 580 Sports Talk. Lewis Toyota Tuesday Night Hoops is coming up next.